Hello, my name is HQ of HQ Reacts. Welcome to my channel. Please do me a favor. Hit the like button, share the stream, and click the notification button for new content.
Hey. This is HQ back at it again. I knew I was going to be late or thought I would be in to do some commentary last night, but come to find out, I have bronchitis, acute bronchitis, right? So I could not make it for the show last night, so I'm doing some content this afternoon, just in case I won't make it at night. But acute bronchitis is what they told me that I have. So, that being said, let's put that to the side, shall we? This fallout from Donald Trump and the Epstein files is not going to go away. Okay? It's not going to go away. So, we're trying to figure out, what are they planning to do? Are they planning to die on the sword? Are they planning to fall down the rabbit hole with Donald Trump? What are the Republicans planning to do? Because this is a conundrum that they have. They either, you want to go down with a ship that is already flailing, because the MAGA Republicans and the regular Republicans, they've been fighting different factions of the same party, different factions of the Republican Party. Release the files, don't release files, Gaza, Jewish, regular Christian, whatever. So they have been fighting, all of them, this past couple weeks, right? So now Epstein files is right back in the front and center. So what are the Republicans going to do? Are they going to fall on the sword, or are they going to try to hide it? We don't know. So let's listen to some commentary. Maybe we can find out what the heck is going on and what direction do the Republicans plan to go. Because we did have defectors over in the House. The people over in the House, as far as I know, it was 4 people that voted to release these emails. So you got people in the House to go along with this, got 4 people to go along with this release. And then they released 23,000 or 2,300 messages, emails, and each one damning after the next, right? So we want to figure out, are these Republicans going to do what they normally do? Are they going to try to get in front of it? Or are they going to fall on the sword for Trump? I'm just trying to figure out, why are you all falling on the sword for Trump? I don't understand. What's going on?
So look, as we mentioned, Congresswoman Grijalva's first act after being sworn in yesterday was to sign the bipartisan petition to release the so-called Epstein files. Members on both sides want these files released, and with her signature, that petition can now move forward in the House. Democrats cheered her on, and 2 Epstein survivors were actually in the chamber to witness the signing that they had been waiting for. Under House rules, Speaker Mike Johnson must now take mandatory action on the measure. He said yesterday, a vote on the Epstein bill, entitled the Epstein Files Transparency Act, will be brought to the floor next week.
So, Herb, you over here caping for the rich pedophiles? I just want to know, because I'm not caping for no rich pedophile, Democrat or Republican. What the hell does that have to do with me?
While it now looks like it will pass the House, it faces an uphill battle in the Senate. On social media yesterday, President Trump called out Republicans backing the bill, saying any lawmaker on the right supporting it was, quote, very bad or stupid, and stressed there should be no deflection to Epstein. Congressman Thomas Massey of Kentucky, the House Republican leading the charge on the bill, said he has spoken to colleagues about the vote.
I've already had a couple Republicans tell my office privately that they're going to vote for it, and I think that could snowball. I mean, you know, the deal for Republicans on this vote.
Bang, here's the shebang. They can make him resign. They can make it so that he would have to resign. Either he's going to resign or he's going to be impeached. They can make it so he does that. People keep saying, he's still going to be the president. They can make him resign. Republicans can go to him and say, it's over. It's too much to hide. We can't do it. Didn't they do that same thing to one of the most powerful Republicans that was president? That was Richard Nixon. One of the most ruthless presidents that we have ever had, Nixon. And they went to him and told him, this shit is over. Trump has done more than Nixon has ever done. The Republicans, if they have a backbone, can go to Trump and say it's over. It is over. Either you resign or either you get impeached. It could be one or the other. We don't know. But it's too late to put the cat in the bag because the Republicans know this right here, you're either going to, here, it's only one way this is going to end. Hey. Hi, guys. Only one way this will end. Either for the Republicans, I'm sorry. The Republicans already went through a bloodbath this November. They're going to, if they stand behind Trump, and we all know that he's in these files, and all of these Republicans stand behind Trump, it's going to be a bloodbath in 2026 and a bloodbath in 2028. So you Republicans better get to telling your senators to give Donald Trump up to save that Republican Party. This is the fucking watershed. This is the moment right here where you all make a decision whether you're going to do it for the better of the country or you're going to sit there and be goofy, as idiot Herb Gillespie keeps saying. You're going to sit here and be dumb and go down with Trump. Shut up, sir. Shut up, Sir Him. That's off the table. It's in the Constitution. Stop saying dumb shit. And that's the conundrum that the Republicans have. Either you go to your president and tell your president it is over, or you go to him and you say, well, you're going to be impeached because the Democrats is going to impeach you. Because when the Democrats get a hold, this right here will make the Republicans and the House Republican and the Senate Republicans lose the House and the Senate come 2026. Make them lose. BLK. Come on. I can't do no goofy shit with y'all today. You need to face the fact that your president is guilty of whatever the fuck it is in the files. Even the little emails that they gave us show his guilt. That's the release of the 3 emails that the Democrats released. The Democrats released 3 emails in which Donald Trump and Epstein admit that Donald Trump and him are friends, that Donald knew everything about it. What the fuck are you talking about? I'm gonna need you goofy MAGAs to get into the game. Your president is a pedophile. He's done. You want him to go out in disgrace, or do you want him to go out right now where we don't have to do no more. We don't have to do no more investigation. Get your ass the hell up out the White House. Yeah, sure, the White House, sure they're fake, hon. Everybody says they're fake. Yeah, sure. Sure. Stop being a zombie today. Stop being the zombies today. We got zombies in the chat, y'all. We got zombies in the chat caping for a pedophile. We got zombies in the chat caping for a pedophile, y'all. They over here calling me stupid, but they over here caping for a pedophile.
Is that Trump will protect you if you vote the wrong way. In other words, if you vote to cover up for pedophiles, you've got cover.
You're going to vote to cover up pedophiles. We got goofies in the chat caping for pedophiles, y'all. Here's a Republican. This is the Republican right now talking about Donald Trump need to do the right thing
In a Republican primary. But I would remind my colleagues that this vote is going to be on your record for longer than Trump is going to be president. And what are you going to do in 2028 and 2030 when you're in a debate, either with a Republican or a Democrat, and they say, how can we trust you? You covered up for a pedophile back in, 2025.
But I don't think it even is 2028. I think the conflict within the MAGA base is right now. Let's bring around MSNBC national affairs analyst and partner and chief political columnist at Puck, John Heilman, also MSNBC senior reporter, legal reporter, and former litigator, Lisa Rubin, also with his former state attorney for Palm Beach County, where most of this happened, Dave Ehrenberg. John Heilman, I want to start with you. You know, if it were only so easy for a Republican congressman or congresswoman or senator, as it has been since Donald Trump became president in 2017, it's been very simple. Don't make the president mad. Keep the MAGA base with you. Win primaries. It's not, I actually think that Congressman Massey may have been getting a bit of his analysis wrong, because it's not worrying about what your political world looks like in 2028 when Donald Trump's gone. It's what it looks like now, because the MAGA base want they want these Epstein files released. So it's when you have the FBI director and the attorney general lobbying a congresswoman from Colorado saying, get off the petition. And they do the same to Nancy Mace, and both of those members say no. You know right there that there is a deep divide in the MAGA base, and actually voting to cover this up, voting to keep what they consider and what they've considered for a decade, this conspiracy under wraps, actually ends up hurting you more with your Republican base.
And that's the crazy part. You got to make up your mind as a Republican. You got to make up your mind. This is not up to the Democrats now. It ain't up to us. It's up to the Republican. This lady is a Republican. The 4 or 5 people that voted for the files to be released are Republican. They Republican too. They saying we ain't going back to our motherfucking hometown saying that we covered for a pedophile. We ain't finna do that. We ain't finna do that. You Republicans are covering for a pedophile. He needs to be, the Republicans need to go to their president and say it's over. This is over. This sham is over. This clown shit is over. We'll deal with J.D. Vance. We'll deal with him, but you got to go. Because you're finna drag all of us down. See, it has to be the calculated risk. Because this right here, Biden didn't release it because, one, Biden didn't want to appear partisan. He didn't want to appear as though he was going after Trump. So therefore, he decided against getting them released. And two, they had bigger fish to fry in his administration. So that's why Biden didn't release it. Had nothing to do with Biden. And anyway, shut your ass up, McNeck. We said focus on your dude. Stop focusing on other people. See, this is what these damn maggots do. They come over here and want to distract you with bullshit. We ain't being distracted today. Your president is a pedophile. Stay on that. Don't get to talking about Democrats. Don't get to talking about Biden. Don't get to talking about Hunter's laptop. Don't get to talking about they eating cats and dogs in Wisconsin. What we talking about is your president is a pedophile. And only goofy people like you and Win Walker Best or anybody else that come up here talking about face claim, y'all goofy and you zombies, and you need to have yourself checked if you believe this shit. The evidence is right in front of your eyes. You got a Republican lady standing right here talking about he need to release them files, that she gonna sign in to get them files released, and she know what's in them files, and y'all goofy ass over here trying to cape. Sure I am. But your president is a pedophile, Marjorie. But your president is a pedophile. I'm gonna be real dumb today, but your president is a pedophile.
Right?
Well, yes, Joe, and I would say it's actually a hit in no matter which direction you look at this, right? You've got the problem, which is with the Republican base. If you're worried about getting primaried, on the other side, you've got a general electorate where the polling is overwhelmingly in favor of releasing the Epstein files. You were talking before about good gets better and bad gets worse, right?
Right.
And how things build on each other. If you think about what the message of the off-year elections were, they've scared Republicans, rightly so, everywhere about the way that things are going for them, about all those counties that are shifting into the blue, about the overwhelming kind of up and down, coast to coast Democratic repudiation of Republicans in those off-year elections. Now, think about the United States Senate, where if the House does pass this vote to force the release of the Epstein files, it moves to the Senate, where I believe that the filibuster won't be in play. It'll be a straight up down majority vote. You got 13 sitting Republican senators running for re-election in 2026.
And all of them are going to lose their seat.
List of those people. How many?
And all of them are going to lose their seat if they stand behind not releasing those files. All of them are going to lose their seat for standing by Donald Trump if they don't grow some balls. Yeah, that's the whole point. They got to grow some balls. They don't want to grow some balls. Y'all hit the like button, subscribe button, share button, do all those good things, please and thank you. Hit the like button. They're going to lose their seats. This is the thing. You got to decide. Whether you want to lose your seat in 2026 or you want to live to fight another day. Because surely you covering up this Epstein stuff and the Epstein stuff becomes worse, they going to know that you are the senator that covered up for a pedophile. And I don't care how you slice it. Most people don't like pedophiles.
How many of those people want to take a vote against not just the Republican base, but also about...
They didn't release the files, Win Walker. They released emails. The files contain video and audio. They haven't released those. They've only... That's why they still have a vote to release some things. They've only released the emails. The files are worse.
And where the MAGA base increasingly is also, I don't really see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the MAGA base has been there. Like, MAGA base has been pushing this for a decade. The MAGA base has been saying that the powers that be, is like the deep state, has been protecting rich, powerful men who are pedophiles.
These are rich, powerful men. These are rich, and yes, they've been trying to get them released for just that long. Biden didn't care to release them. He never even thought about it. And the reason why they didn't access them, some of them were at the DOJ and whatnot, and they were still under investigation. And you can't really access those when they're under investigation. And the fact that Biden didn't want to appear partisan, so therefore he didn't ask for the files to get released. But he could have had them released if he would have waited a little bit longer. And this is an albatross around the Republicans' neck. You're going down in flames if you don't make the right decision.
And release the documents. That's all we've heard. Remember, Pam Bondi called the right-wing influencers over and gave them notebooks with very little inside of them, binders with very little inside of them. So it is a central issue for them. But you bring up a great point. We're all focused on the House because that's where.
Hey, everybody.
I'm a member of the House. If they're conspiracy theorists, chances are good they swirl around in the backbenches of the House. But you bring up a great point. You've got senators that are going to be running, Republican senators that are going to be running. And I've seen it firsthand. The things that you think should break through to the American people don't break through. During Bill Clinton's term, there were a lot of things that I thought should break through that didn't break through. And then it was a personal a situation, let's just say, that broke through. And I was thinking, wait.
Trump is already incriminated. We don't need to incriminate Trump. Trump is already incriminated. He's already there. He's already admitted that he was there. Epstein admitted he was there. The emails say he knew what was going on. The email said he knew what was going on. Oh, nobody's gonna stop. You can forget that, Pat Paulson. Nobody's gonna stop. We already know he's in the files. Everybody knows he's in the files.
Okay, they're going to impeach him for this, but they were okay with like missile cells to China that like everybody in the DOD said he should never do. But you never know what's going to break through. This is one of those things that break through. And so if
this is the Republicans talking about this is what breaks through. We know what's breaking through. It is what it is. The Republicans have a choice to make. They can't go home, okay? They can't go home to their constituents because they almost got their ass cooked when they went home trying to sell the big, beautiful bill. So when they try to go home and sell the big, beautiful bill, they cooked that ass. They cooked most of their ass, okay? So they're going to try to go home and sell the fact that they decided that they weren't going to let them release files against a pedophile. It's going to be... It's going to be a bloodbath in 2026. And here's the thing. Do you want to win elections or you want to go down with the ship behind Trump? Yeah, that's what all these MAGAs in here trying to say, Peter. They trying to say that we can't believe our lying eyes. We can't believe nothing. It's a Democratic hoax. Cause Donald Trump is the king of the gaslighters. And they believe anything he said. Y'all, you zombies really got to get it together. You MAGAs are zombies. When I call y'all zombies, this is what I mean. Every last one of you came in here defending him, calling me a liar. Every last one of y'all came in the door talking about, she's a liar. Don't believe a liar. You don't have to believe me. Go read the transcripts. Go read the emails. Do whatever you got to do. But don't come in here with the zombie shit. Don't come in here with the zombie shit. Because we all know what the fucking emails say.
If you're a Republican senator and
you blind, but we ain't. Most of us ain't. You might be blind, but we ain't.
You're sitting fairly comfortably. Maybe you think you're going to win easily, or by 3 or 4.
I'm skipping you zombies comments because ain't no sense in responding to zombies. Why the hell would I respond to zombies? You want your comment read? Put it in the super chat. You don't want it read? Then you won't get your super chat. You won't get your comment read.
4 or 5 points. You just saw what happened last week. The massive wave elections coast to coast. You saw what happened in even Bucks County, the swingiest swing county in America, practically. You'd have to be pretty stupid to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to be on the side of covering up the Epstein files.
Of course. Wait a minute. Hold on, Joe. Hey, Joe, we got some zombies in the chat, in my chat, trying to cover up for the pedophile. We got some in my chat trying to cover up for the pedophile. Of course you're going to have goofies like this.
I think you're right. I think as this gets through the House and goes to the Senate, there going to be a lot of Republican senators who said no to Donald Trump on the filibuster that are probably going to say no to him on covering up the Epstein files.
So listen,
Joe, this filibuster, the filibuster thing was very much on my mind. The Republican Senate, which has almost never bucked Trump on anything, in the wake of the election results, on the off-year election results that Tuesday, November 4th, immediately thereafter we saw And it hasn't gotten enough attention. We saw Republican senators suddenly find their backbone on the question of the filibuster. If Republican senators told Trump to pound sand in the wake of the off-year elections on the filibuster, are they really just going to cave into Trump on an issue like this, which, as you say, is cutting through? Most Americans still don't really understand the filibuster. I'm not sure I understand the filibuster, but everybody understands this Jeffrey Epstein story. And you are going to see the survivors out in force again. They are going to be saying, are you really, Senator Susan Collins, are you really going to vote against the wishes of the Jeffrey Epstein survivors who want to see these files come out? They're going to make that case if they have any political savvy, and they have shown that they do. They're going to make that case to every swing sitting Republican senator who's in any way vulnerable. And I think it's going to be a very hard vote to resist for someone like, say, Susan Collins. I don't see it. I can't imagine Susan Collins is going to side with Donald Trump and against the Epstein survivors. Doesn't make any sense to me. And I think there are at least 4 of them who are going to be like that.
This is what the base wanted. This was about 2 systems of justice. This is about young girls being victimized. Who's going to...
Yeah, young girls being victimized. Why do we have zombies in the chat saying, oh, no, it's not true. They're not real emails. They're not true. You guys are brainwashed. You guys are lying. How is it that we lying when everybody knows these emails? This is a worldwide scandal. Your president is a pedophile at the worst. He knows about it at the least. But that's for sure. He's one or the other or in somewhere in between. But we know damn well he knew what was going on. Remember, nobody, so what? You MAGAs brought it up. You MAGAs is the one who brought this to the forefront. You guys the one who wanted it to be out in front. You guys who live in conspiracy theories, live in MAGA, the left people lie all the time. You guys who live in I don't believe anything the left says. Now you can't. Now it's right in your face. Accept it. Accept it.
Vote against trying to get justice in this case of Jeffrey Epstein? That's the question.
So we got our next. Wait a minute. Hold on. Stay right there. Stay right there. I want to show you this right here. We got one more. We got one more from the news, people. Here it is, White House. What Donald Trump is trying to stop them telling the Trump. I mean, hold on. Here we go.
Breaking news this morning: after 43 days, the longest shutdown in U.S. history, finally over. President Trump signing the bill to reopen the government late last night after it was passed by the House. But as Washington turns a page on that battle, new fallout is looming over the White House from the newly released trove of documents in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Among the files,
See, that's the problem with you, Democrat. That's the problem with you, Republicans. You're always worried about the culture war. You're never worried about moving the country forward. You're always hating on gays and trans and blacks and immigrants and immigration. You never want to push your country forward. You're always worried about culture wars. Who did what, when, and why, instead of worrying about your president getting us into wars. And instead of worrying about your president being a pedophile. Instead of you worrying about your president doing the wrong thing for half the country. You're always worried about women. I think we need to get the gay people out of our bathroom. We need to get the gay people out of this. Y'all wild. This is wild. I don't understand why you Republicans always worried about people in the bathroom. Come on up, Tierney. I dropped the link for you.
multiple emails from Epstein that specifically mention Donald Trump's name. The White House is now ramping up pressure on House Republicans after 4 of them, including 3 women, signed a discharge petition to force a vote on fully releasing the Justice Department's files on Epstein. That vote now set to happen next week. One of Epstein's survivors telling CNN she's grateful to that handful of Republicans and urged them to stand firm.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How you doing, beautiful lady? What's going on with you?
Oh, everything and nothing.
Girl, you see these emails. What is going on?
Nope. I'm catching up my news with you. So you got to tell me what's going on.
Ooh, girl, they finally see what this is the deal. They did the Democrats caved. Of course, they caved on the shutdown. So therefore, we turn our imagination to these Epstein files. So Mike Johnson in the House kept the House from coming back into session all of this time since July because he didn't want the lady, can't pronounce her name, Gavado or whoever. He didn't want her. I can't say that name for shit. Gray Alva, Delita Agrava. They didn't want her to come in and be sworn into the House because she said the first thing she was going to do was sign the petition to release the Epstein files. So Mike Johnson had to call session back. He had to call the House back. So therefore she showed up, and he had to swear her in. And the first thing she did was sign a petition, and they released 23,000 or 2,300 emails from Epstein. And in the emails, Epstein is admitting Trump knew and is indicting or implicating other people in the emails.
Mm.
So
You know, the other day when I got off of work, I happened to, just look at the news, and they were saying how, Trump is 100% involved. And what they said, that the only dog that's not barking is Trump. This white lady that be representing him, this young girl, she was just like, that information was released to fake news. So it's fake when it's pertaining to your Trump.
Right.
But it's real if it's something that makes Trump look good. Nah, all these people, all these celebrities got this money, don't know what to do with it. So they went and did something wicked, and they went and created that
Epstein Island or all the
island. Exactly.
So it's a whole conspiracy with a bunch of older pedophiles. I don't know whether they're white men, black men. I don't know. All of the files have not been released. These are not files. Let me be clear. These are emails. The files contain video and audio. These are the emails. Okay, so the emails, if you think the emails is guilty, got bombshell shit in it, the video and the audio, those may be released next week. That got even more dead because Epstein kept video and audio of all the rooms in his house.
Whoa.
So he got a bunch of people on tape doing whatever. We don't know who, we don't know where, we don't know who, what, right? But those have not been released. Only the emails that have been, and this stuff was released because this came from Epstein's household records, from his computer thing, his computer stuff. This is what's being released is from his estate, his household estate. The files are the things from the DOJ, the FBI, from all the investigations. That's the files. We haven't seen those yet.
Because I know for sure, when he first got into office, right, he signed to release Martin Luther King files, and then someone, or JFK. But why not Epstein? Because you know that you're guilty in there. That's why.
That would be crazy. Would it not be crazy if why you didn't get ahead of this when you were the president back then? Why didn't you get ahead of it? That's the whole thing. Epstein went to jail when he became president. He died in 2019, right? So Epstein went to jail, and he was, I don't want to say they gave him a dirt nap, or he did his own self in, We don't know right now. We don't know what happened to Epstein. Now it's becoming more clear that Epstein, from the emails, is becoming more clear that Epstein knew a lot about Donald Trump and his household running and his household, the inner workings of Donald Trump's household. He knew a lot about Donald Trump, and Donald Trump knew a lot about him. So people keep saying, "Oh, we don't know. He doesn't really know." No, he's lying to the American public. That's what's happening. He's lying. So we're going to expose him. So every day we're gonna have a conversation. So for now, what has happened is the emails have been released. The emails from Epstein's estate have been released, not the files. We're waiting to get the files released. But my question is this: the Republicans, they got the petition. They got the petition going around in the House to get the files released. Now the Republicans in the Senate have to vote to release the files. So it has to be both sides, the Republicans on the Senate and the Republicans in the House of Rep. House of Rep already done signed theirs. So
But what is releasing these files going to do?
Releasing the files they're going to prove. See, people don't believe the emails. People don't believe the emails. The whole point is this: are you going to be a protector of the pedophile, or are you going to stand on principle and do the right thing for the American people? That's the whole thing. To do this for the right thing for the American people is to release we're probably never going to see them. It's going to be the Republicans in House and maybe some choice few people may see it. But they have to make the determination as to whether they're going to keep him as their president or impeach him or make him leave.
Now, see, look, check this out, HQ.
Mm-hmm.
When these files are released, Trump supporters are going to continue to support him. Why? Because they are really a representation. He is a representation of them. All of these people that is voting for Trump, voting for him because he represents him. So when these things are released, they're really afraid of themselves being shown. See, one thing about Trump is that the racism grew rapidly once he got in office, because his real support, the real racist people was able to come out and say, yeah, this is our guy. He represents us. He represents everything we feel. So let's go for him. When these files and emails show that Trump is a pedo, come on, man. Why wouldn't he be? This with as much rich and wealth that Trump has and always have had, there's only evil that comes along with that. So when all this stuff is released about their Lord and Savior Trump, it's just really going to show who these people really are that voted for him. And all the people in the comments are saying that you're lying, you're not telling the truth. It's because we're really exposing y'all. That's what it's really exposing, the true so-called Americans, that most Americans are racist and pedophiles.
See, the thing is, Tierney, they knew he wasn't shit when they voted for him. They just didn't want to vote for Pamela. They just didn't want to vote for a woman, or they just didn't want to vote for the trans area or the pedophile or whatever. It was some reason why they didn't want to vote for her, even though he had a worse record than that black woman. He had a worse record. Now here, once he gets exposed for this is a better case scenario. He may or may not be a pedo. We don't know until the files are released, right? But the thing is, he knew about it though. He knew about it because it says it in these emails that just got released. It says that he knew about what Epstein was doing. So does that make you just as guilty as Epstein? Because you knew, and the women were being recruited from Mar-a-Lago.
Yep.
Trump's house. Don't that make you just as worse as him?
100%.
It up.
100%. They were friends.
Right.
They were friends. I'm not hanging around company that I can't relate to.
Thank you.
They were friends.
Yeah, and I don't want to be doing the stuff that you doing, and I'm gonna tell you I'm not doing it, and you got to get lost because I'm not doing that with you, right? So he knew, and he knew that they were recruiting the women from his Mar-a-Lago, from his place, right? And then so he knew not only was it Epstein doing this stuff, he knew it was other rich men doing this stuff.
Of course.
So it's either he's covering up for the other rich men too, but he was also in on the sick stuff too. He was also there. So we won't know until they release the files. These
But
are
even with the files, HQ, this is America. And this is why other countries make fun of us.
Yep.
Because no matter how much truth is in our face, you have Trump supporters that's going to say, that's a lie. Oh, well, you know, man, this man is draining this country. He's going to put us to the ground, but people are still going to support the ignorance.
right.
They're still going to support the ignorance.
So wait a minute. Let's listen to this. Or let's listen to this. See, what are the Republicans going to do? That's the question.
I think that there's just such a broader message that for those women, particularly Marjorie Taylor Greene, Boebert, and Mace, I think they are really standing up for women everywhere. And they're saying, they're throwing down the gauntlet of what is acceptable in society.
And new this morning, new CNN exclusive reporting on Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime associate and now convicted sex trafficker, and her life behind bars. Sources telling CNN she now gets special privileges, including private use of the chaplain's office for visitors, the warden personally helping her send emails, and yes, even unlimited toilet paper. CNN.
And she has a pet dog in the prison. She gets phone calls, unlimited phone calls. She gets whatever food that she wants to eat. She has privileges. She's in a minimum. See, take this into account. So this is how I know Trump knew, and he knows everything. You know how I know? Because she is serving a 20-year sentence, Tierney. They do not put people who have long sentences in prisons where only short-term prisoners are. They put the short-term prison. She's in a minimum security prison. That's short-term prison term for people who got a year, 2, and they're about to get out. She's in a short-term prison facility, not a maximum facility. So she's getting good treatment. She has an animal in there. She feeds them. She can talk on the phone, get on the internet, do whatever she wants to do. She's just locked behind bars. You hear me, Tierney?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, right?
Yes. And if we're letting Trump get away with this, or we're giving Maxwell certain prison privileges, then what the hell is P. Diddy in jail for? Let's just be honest. What the hell is this man in prison for if he was doing the same thing as Epstein and Trump and Maxwell?
They all were having parties and doing all of that stuff together. They were doing that stuff together. Trump wants P. Diddy to pay more money to get out of. He said it. He said he don't have enough money for pardon, which means Trump is paying for pardons. He is paying for play. That is what is going on with Donald Trump. He wants P. Diddy to pay more. That's all. And then P. Diddy would be able to get out of jail because they were all doing the same thing. All of them doing the same thing. Let's finish listening.
And Elena Treen is at the White House with the very latest on this morning. What are you learning?
Yeah, look, Sarah, yesterday was a dizzying day of political intrigue, and it really cast a dark cloud over Republican hopes of claiming victory over the government shutdown and passing that bill to reopen the government. Now, the president, of course, signed that bill last night, but it finished off a day that brought new urgency to this issue that he has tried repeatedly, as well as has his team, to try and shrug off, but he just can't shake it. It's an issue that keeps coming back and bringing new information every time it does. And of course, there was those new emails from Jeffrey Epstein.
He said he don't know this woman. This is what Trump tried to pretend like they wasn't good friends. Look at this picture.
He's just a liar.
You can't tell me they do that swapping shit. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They do the swapping shit. So you can't tell me they wasn't doing the swapping shit.
Mm-hmm.
But they look like they was doing this crazy shit right here. And they were doing all that wild shit together, including P. Diddy.
Epstein's private estate over the last 15 years that mentioned the president by name. And ever since then, ever since those were released, the White House has really been in damage control mode. And my colleagues and I broke yesterday that part of that was...
Here's a goofy thing I can't get past. I've been thinking about this. I thought about this a while back. Ain't that his girlfriend? That's his girlfriend, right?
Bring Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, one of the people who ultimately did join that petition, bringing her to the White House.
How is it that she bringing little girls for him to sleep with?
You said how she bringing what?
Little girls to sleep with.
Hey, because sometimes them women be involved in it too.
That's crazy. They must have been doing things too. But we ain't talked about that, now have we? Ain't that the president? Ain't that the first lady standing right next to Trump? Ain't that the first lady right there?
Yes, it is.
So you telling me the first lady didn't know what was going on?
Mm-hmm.
She was right there along with her.
And not just coming to the White House, but bringing her to the Situation Room.
Look what that email said. One of the emails said that. I know how dirty Donald is. One of the emails in 2018, right when Donald got elected. I know how dirty Donald is. Of course, you know how dirty he is.
Where presidents go over war plans to try and urge her not to sign her name. Now, the White House has argued that that was a sign of transparency. Listen to how Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, put it.
This girl knows she can lie.
Doesn't that show the level of transparency when we are willing to sit down with members of Congress and address their concerns? That's a defining factor of transparency, having discussions with members of Congress about various issues. And I'm not going to detail conversations that took place in the Situation Room, in the press briefing room.
Now, look, despite that meeting and also the president's efforts to try and get the Republican Congresswoman Nancy Mace on the phone as well, it was an unsuccessful effort. Both of them, including, and then in addition to Marjorie Taylor.
See, the White House is trying to get the four Republicans that voted for these files to be released. There's 4 Republicans and the rest are Democrats. So now the petition has been signed. They've been trying to get those 4 Republicans not to take their name off of the petition, but it's too late because they released it yesterday, so it's too late. But they were trying to pull them into the office, pull them into the White House, and make them take their name off of the Epstein petition, but they wouldn't.
Green and Thomas Massey all ultimately signed it.
I wouldn't be surprised either, Peter.
Now this signature has 218 votes, and the House Speaker, Mike Johnson, said that they will get a vote on that next week. And to be clear, I want to be clear in all of this, that these new emails do not appear to pose any new legal implications for the president. The White House and the president have repeatedly denied any wrongdoing, and the president has not been charged with any crimes as it relates to Epstein. But all of this just continues to bring new urgency to that question of why isn't the president releasing these, particularly after he and his supporters for years had argued that the files must be made public. And really, why isn't he willing to release these and get justice for these victims who have been trafficked and abused by Epstein? And so the question
is, will he release the files? I don't know. Are we waiting for him to release the file? Yes, we are. So here, hold on. Oh, wait a minute. No, I'm not even going to put that one on there. That's too crazy. I was going to put something else on, but no, I don't want him to. I don't want to be. This is a girl. This is my girl. I like her. I like her conversation because she gonna say what she want to say. Her that people may not like Jasmine Crockett, but she come out there and say what she want to say. That's for sure.
And joining us now, Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett of Texas, a key member of the House Oversight Committee and the House Judiciary Committee as well. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining.
You are familiar with her, right, Tierney?
Very.
Okay.
Judiciary Committee as well, Congresswoman. Thanks so much.
Yes, you all make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button over there at Tierney's channel over here at HQ Reacts. Hit the like, share, and subscribe, please, and thank you.
Much for joining us. What stands out to you from these emails that were publicly released by the committee today?
Yeah, so number one, it is clear that he knew what was going on, which I think that he's kind of alluded to that at some point in time, because the president said that he was trying to kick Ghislaine out of Mar-a-Lago because it seems like that's where girls were being recruited from based on information that we have. But more importantly is that he was having conversation, he being Jeffrey Epstein, with Michael Wolff, who is writing this book or trying to put together this book. And in real time, as Trump is running for his first presidential run, we hear or we see that he made it clear that he believes that he has leverage over Trump. And he said that a Trump regime would basically open up, this is me paraphrasing, this is not exactly what he said, but basically it'd be a free for all. And as we've seen, especially in this second term, it's been a free for all where Trump has absolutely pardoned some folk that we know are terrible, and we are waiting on him to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. I think that that's coming up soon too.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
So my question that I was thinking to myself was, why did they kill Epstein?
We don't know. We don't know whether that's the truth. Allegedly. Say allegedly.
In Tyranny's world, okay. I feel as though they might have, it was foul play. And then with what she just said, that if Trump was to become president, it would be a free for all. Do whatever you want. Do what thou wilt. This is the whole of the law, says Aleister Crowley. So I feel
Trump dead to rights. He had him dead to rights.
Yes, I feel that if Trump would have became president during Epstein living, then Epstein would have blew the roof off of a lot. He knew
he was alive for just a short period of time.
During
then because Obama was president. Obama was president from 2008, so 2009, so 12 to 16 to 17. And Epstein didn't get arrested until I think 2018. Trump was in the middle of his pregnancy. In the middle of his presidency, he got arrested, but Epstein took a dirt nap in 2019. So he was only alive for, I want to say, a year and some months or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, we don't know. We don't know. Allegedly.
Yeah, Congresswoman, let's take a closer look at that email from Epstein where he writes to the author Michael Wolff saying this, and it's a direct quote, redacted victim, the name was redacted. Mar-a-Lago, Trump said he'd asked me to resign, never a member ever. Of course, he knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
See, right there. Trump knew about the girls as he asked Ghislaine to stop.
Stop what?
Stop coming to Mar-a-Lago and taking his girls.
Wow.
Obviously, we don't have
that's what that means.
The full context here, but I'm curious, how do you read this specific email and what it means?
Yeah, I think that it is showing that he was.
Ain't this reminding you of R. Kelly? Listen, how are these little girls even getting to this house? Their parents must be putting them up for sale. This is the hypocrisy. So we done locked R. Kelly up for doing the same thing that Trump is doing at Mar-a-Lago?
Told you they all
we're mad at Epstein for doing the same thing that P did. Look, so
listen to this. Listen to this. What color are Diddy and R. Kelly?
Exactly.
Doing the same thing.
Exactly.
But you didn't see none of them going to jail for it, now did you? Okay.
We get the book thrown at us. They get news coverage and chances and a voting.
Right. There you go. That's the whole point. There you go with that two-way street. One for black people, one for white people. Even this right here. Okay.
Well aware, and he was trying to cover his tracks at that point in time. And I think that that's what you saw from Jeffrey. Obviously, it'd be better if we could talk to Jeffrey today. But it was very interesting that ultimately Jeffrey Epstein died sitting in prison during Trump's administration.
Right.
We had on Representative Marlon Stutzman earlier. He's a Republican, and he tried to make the case that President Trump is the most investigated person in the world, and he has not been accused of any criminal wrongdoing here. What do you make of that?
Listen, they will do and say anything to cover themselves. You know, I will admit that Donald Trump has been investigated more than the normal, but he just happens to be more corrupt and more criminal than any other president than we've had. I will point out he is the only president who has been convicted of 34 felony convictions that we've ever had in the Oval Office. So
ain't that wild? Ain't that wild? See, here's the thing. This is my thought. Now this is becoming exposed. So are the Republicans going to go down as supporting a pedophile? Are they going to go down in the books as supporting a pedophile? Or are they going to go into his office and tell him to get the hell on? Because the Republicans can do that. They can do that. Tell him to get the hell on.
They're going to support their pedophile, and America is going to sweep it under the rug, and we're going to all forget about it next year.
No, I'm hoping that we don't. I'm hoping we vote him out of office to impeach him next November.
Who's the last president that we got impeached?
No, it wasn't. It was Bill Clinton, but they did the same
for what?
For Monica. I think it was Monica Lewinsky.
Exactly. Wait, he got impeached for getting his pee sucked. Yeah. But
they didn't want to go all the way and impeach. He got the same thing as he got once. They did it once to him. He got the same avenue as Trump did the first time. Trump got impeached in the House, but he didn't get convicted in the Senate. And then Bill Clinton got impeached in the House, but didn't getting convicted in the Senate. So they both went the same route of conviction. I mean, convicted in the House, but not in the Senate. So he will stay in office if he cannot get convicted in the Senate. This is what we're hoping.
Crazy.
Yeah. And he'll still have his job. That's wild. They gotta, this is what the Republicans don't understand. You got the opportunity to get rid of him right now. You have the opportunity to get rid of him right now.
But his money, he's so powerful. He's so powerful, they're afraid of him. So they literally have a dictator over them. They're if he finds out that one of them went against him, it's over. It's over for them. So good luck with us getting this man up out of the office, especially if we're depending on his party to do so.
Yeah, but the thing is, we want the Republican Party to be right along with him to impeach him. We want them to vote to impeach him too. We want him to get impeached by them too, not just the Democrats. I don't know how that's going to happen.
While we don't know exactly what crimes he may or may not have committed.
You said what?
I said, I'll see you later. I got to get out of here.
Okay, honey. Okay, come back if you want to.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Just think of it this way. If you know that you didn't do anything, then why is it that you would be twisting members of your own party's arms, trying to get them not to release it? This would be exonerating. If you know that you are free and clear, then why not say, you know what, release the files? In fact, he campaigned on releasing the files because he didn't realize that anything that he was involved in whatsoever was involved in the files. But let me tell you something, another thing that was said in that other email.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't look up. I knew it was something. I knew it wasn't Monica Lewinsky. Bill Clinton got impeached because he lied to I think he lied to the House of Representatives, or he lied to Congress, or he lied to somebody. And he was impeached for perjury, and he was impeached for obstruction of justice when they tried to find out about him doing the misleading statements and whatnot. He was impeached in the House, but he wasn't removed from office. And they may have, I don't know whether they tried him. They held a trial, but he was acquitted. Okay, so he lied on the earth about the affair with Monica Lewinsky, not because of Monica Lewinsky, but because he lied about the affair. Okay.
That he had with Michael Wolff was he was talking about if he wants to basically play hardball, we will make mention of the fact that he really has been on the plane. And I don't remember if it mentioned the
That's what I said. I said the same thing happened to Trump.
island.
Let's actually put that email up just so our viewers can fully understand what it says. I just hope the control room can put this email up. It says, I think you should let him hang himself. And this is in response to a question of whether CNN would plan to ask Trump in a town hall about the relationship with Epstein. Epstein said, how do we craft an answer for him? And Michael Wolff says in this email, I think you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. You can hang him in a way that potentially generates a positive benefit for you. Or if it really looks like he could win, you could save him, generating a debt. Of course, it is possible that when asked, he'll say Jeffrey is a great guy and has gotten a raw deal and is a victim of political correctness.
But the thing is, they're going to hang themselves. The Republicans are going to hang themselves. Otherwise, they're going to give Trump up. That's the whole point. The whole point is the fallout as to what the Republicans are going to do. But my overall take on it is the Republicans cannot go home. They cannot go home and sell this to the... They have a base. Don't get me wrong. Regular Republicans have a base. They have a base of MAGA and regular Republicans. But they also have regular base in which there's people like me that want an explanation as to why the senators are trying to not vote on it or trying to avoid the vote. So I was like, okay, I know they can't go home. They can't go home because of first of all, they couldn't go home because of the big, beautiful bill. The big, beautiful bill is what really burnt them up. But now you got this on top of the big, beautiful bill. You have this on top of the big, beautiful bill.
Represent us. Southeast Wisconsin has not been represented by you. President Trump seems to run Southeast Wisconsin.
What I see happening to our immigrant population embarrasses me, and you have not raised a voice to complain about it. Where do I see your leadership? I see no leadership. I see following Trump 100% of the time.
What I view is the moral hazard created by the Biden administration by allowing the U.S.-Mexico border to remain insecure. And so...
Oh, that old big bill. This is their constituents. Their constituents are saying this is a big, beautiful garbage bill.
The tried and true Bidenism ain't working. People booed him immediately. Immediately.
You know, Republicans, y'all, I'm just telling you, I just can't go back home and start talking about Joe Biden.
Right.
Because there's been a whole lot of stuff that has happened since January 20th to this date that has moved, as we just in the first 3 quarters of this show, between Epstein and trade and economy, have moved the electorate in a way that, this is Wisconsin. This is the part of Wisconsin that's red, right?
A little suburb of Milwaukee County.
Thank you. So
it has a lot.
It has a lot. So you're not talking. You can't just play this off like, oh, these are paid Democrats showing up in my town hall. No, it's not. Mm-hmm. And even if it were, just to put that little crazy to bed, even if it were, you still represent them. So stop acting stupid and pretending that, well, you don't represent. When I became lieutenant governor, I swore the oath on the Bible, to the Constitution of the state and the country, to represent all Marylanders, not just the Republicans who elected me or the Democrats who didn't. This is not how it works. You have to represent everybody. So when you go home, baby, lock and load, get ready, because they're coming. They got a few words to say.
They got a few words to say. Yes, they do. These people are not having it. They are not having it. You have to get ready because they mad. These people mad. They mad.
Tonight, Wisconsin Congressman Brian Steele was booed during a town hall when he expressed support for the president's trade policies. Take a listen.
I would like to know what dire economic circumstances put Trump in a position of throwing tariffs on over 190 countries.
This really, at its core, needs to be an opportunity to make sure that other countries are treating the United States fairly. The United States...
They ain't trying to hear you.
And with this,
They're not trying to hear any of that. They ain't trying to hear nothing you got to say. Every town hall he go to, he get booed. Every town hall they go to, they get booed. What's going on?
As he tries to sell his constituents on President Trump's agenda. The Nebraska Republican getting an earful for his support of Trump's massive tax and spending bill.
There's been a lot of misinformation out there about the bill.
Flood attempting to walk the audience through the health care provisions in the bill, but the crowd interrupting and jeering him.
I can tell you, we're going to see an influx of money into Nebraska hospitals.
One constituent calling for calm.
I implore you to be quiet so that we can hear his responses. Remember, Mike's coming up for a re-election, and we'd really like to know what his responses are.
The bill, the cornerstone of Trump's agenda, is projected to cause more than 10 million Americans to lose their health care coverage over the next decade due to its cuts to Medicaid.
If you choose not to work, you do not get free health care. You do not get free health care.
A new analysis by the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office now estimates the legislation will add more than $4 trillion to the national debt over the next decade, up from the previous estimate of $3.4 trillion. The increase due in part to the roughly $4 trillion in tax cuts, mostly for the wealthiest Americans, included in the final bill.
These people ain't trying to hear that. And this ain't just Democrats that are mad because of this bill. This is Republicans mad at this bill. Medicare, that's the problem with you, Highlander. You can't see beyond your nose. That's the problem. Just because you can afford health care doesn't mean everybody can afford health care. There's plenty of people who cannot work, elderly people, disabled people, veterans, and all of that who cannot afford health care.
But it wasn't just the legislation sparking outrage. One man pointing to the January 6th attack on the Capitol and Trump's pardons of more than 1,500 people involved.
You said in Seward that you were not a fascist. Your complicity says otherwise. Have you ever spoken out against this administration?
Sir, I want to be very clear with you.
They can't go home. They can't go home. Hey, Pan. Hello, Pan.
Much love, HQ. How you doing? It's been a while.
Fine. I'm going to go over these town halls.
Yes. I want to comment on some of this, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Yes. I just want to say that I respect. See, I'm neutral. I'm not Democrat or Republican, but I have to acknowledge that I respect the fact that the Republicans refuse to grant health care to the illegal aliens, and they refuse to grant more of our tax revenue to LGBTQ programs in foreign nations.
Yeah, but see, that's the thing. We're not focused on those things. Today is about the Epstein files, not the.
Yeah. Let me speak about that because I'm glad you brought that up.
Please.
Yeah, we need to see who is in these goddamn Epstein files, man.
So
Really.
why do we have people in the chat saying y'all need to mind y'all business? Y'all don't need to worry about what's in the files.
Now, I don't know who said that.
No, I'm saying that's the general sentiment. What do you say to people who say we don't need to see that? What do you say?
No, we need to see that so we can protect our babies, man. Really, we need to know who was engaging in this goddamn pedophilia, man. Pardon my language, this PDFIlia.
Yeah.
We need to know. Now, we need to know, regardless of party, regardless of, like I say, this is a non-partisan issue. When it comes to protecting the children, this is a serious issue. So I don't give, pardon my language, I almost use profanity. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, Independent. If you target our children, you will be held accountable. So yes, we need to see these Epstein files, man. Really.
See, here's the thing. They released the emails yet the day before. They released the emails. These are just email. These are just communications from Epstein's estate. These are not the actual files. The files have not been released yet. These are the emails from Epstein's estate. So we're awaiting the files, and some of the Republicans are blocking the files. The files contain video and audio. These are just emails that we're seeing now. These are only emails. So you see how
let me address that because you're making a great point. Have the Republicans' names that are blocking the release of these files have their names been disclosed?
I don't know. I haven't gotten to that part, so I don't know. I think they do the voting on it next week. So I'm not sure who's against it right now. They're not saying anything now, but there are going to be some that go against it. We know for sure.
So let me just say this: if the Republicans whose names, if their names have indeed been disclosed, the Republicans that are blocking the release of the Epstein files, on your own behalf, for the sake of all of our children, call their offices. When I say they, I'm talking about the Republicans in Congress and Senate that are working against releasing these Epstein files. Call their offices on your own behalf and on our children's behalf and ask them, hey, why are you trying to block these files from being released? And demand that these files be released, really.
Right.
Whether you live in a congressional district or not, whether you live in a Senate district or not, call their offices as a U.S. taxpayer and demand that the Epstein files be released.
Right.
Daily. Call more than once, call every day.
Right. Call every day. Call as many times as you like. Call as many senators as you like. You just
Exactly.
call, and we want them all. We want it all released so we can get it out in the open because these people are still walking among us.
Exactly.
These people are still out here walking among us in X, Y, and Z. So no, we're not just going to allow you to just push this under the rug. We want to know what senators are helping this president keep this under wraps.
Exactly.
So you know what happened to Nixon, right? They went into his office and said, hey, this Watergate is getting out of control. You got to go, right?
No, I'm definitely familiar with the Watergate scandal for sure.
So my thing is, why they can't do the same thing with Trump? Tell him this thing got way past what you are. You are making a distraction for the White House. You are making it too toxic to be the president. Nobody respects you. Nobody is going to respect you. You need to resign. What do you think about that?
And that's the thing. I just want to see the Epstein files so I can know who's actually involved, because right now we are forced to speculate. We don't know who's involved, who's not involved. We need to see the files so we know exactly who is the culprits. Who are the culprits of these atrocities? We need to know.
Right. That's the thing right there. Yeah, they claiming themselves to be patriot. They claim themselves to be moral leaders. Then they should be telling the truth about these people. They should be telling the truth about their president. They should be saying, hey, Mr. President, you need to resign. You need to do X, Y, and Z because this is not what we want to see as a president.
People of color, queer folks, immigrants, veterans, people who are hungry, people without shelter, children experiencing poverty. That's just a partial list. You will deny all of this. We know the truth. Yes. We see, we know what you've done, we vote, and we will hold you accountable.
Hi again, everyone. It's 5 o'clock in the East. Accountability, a critical aspect of American democracy.
Are we going to get transparency from our leaders or we're not? Are we going to deal with the lying? Are we going to push it under the rug? Are we going to let these people walk among us? Are we going to let these people know that they cannot allow this person to stay in office? That's the thing. Can we allow it? Can we not allow it? What do you think? Hold on. I got to change this out because this is the way it has to be, guys. We have to make a stand somewhere. I get it. Some of y'all love them. Y'all some Donald Trump, but that's not the way it's supposed to be.
A top Republican congresswoman basically booed off the stage. That's in her own district, so she won enough votes as a Republican, but apparently is having trouble holding on to support. That was a very real illustration. There were protesters, signs calling her a sellout to Trump, and people saying she needs to go away.
Well, Elise has not shown up in our district in months and months. She won't hold a town hall. She won't take questions. She's never at her office.
I don't think this is about Democrats versus Republicans or anything. We're all represented by Stefanik.
That is in a swing district in New York. If you go over to bright red Wyoming, another Republican jeered at a town hall, including over issues we were covering tonight, the genuine concern about the Trump DOJ's handling of the Jeff Epstein case and other Trump issues.
Do you support the release of those files?
I support, it's up to the courts to decide. It is up to the courts to decide.
Thank you.
It's up to the courts to decide. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
These are in areas that Republicans won, to say nothing of more broad swing districts where they were close or lost last cycle, or the rest of the country. And these are only the districts where people are holding town halls, the majority of Republicans avoiding them. A top Republican congresswoman basically booed off the stage. That's in her own district, so she won enough votes.
We gonna do the brother. What's his name? He went.
Going to a town hall in Lee County, Florida. This is a very red district. But what's also fascinating about this is that according to Nikki Fried, she's the chairwoman of the Florida Dems, 700 people in this auditorium, or at least there was room for 700 people. To be eligible to get into this room, you had to be a resident of the district. You could only sign up a certain amount of people per family. So you basically have a pre-screened audience. Again, deep red district, no outside the district people in there. And apparently Byron Donalds was not anticipating that his voters are a little angry with him.
Do you approve the Elon invading our Social Security files?
All right, pause it for a second. The question was, do you approve of Doge and Elon Musk invading our Social Security files?
Elon and Doge invading our Social Security files.
Elon Musk and Doge have been authorized by the President of the United States.
See, the problem is the Republicans seem to think everybody is stupid and the gaslighting works. They think the gaslighting works on us liberals. The gaslighting don't work on us liberals. And when you talk in front of the camera, we know that you're lying when you're talking in front of the camera.
Are you ready? You ready to know how to do it? The previous president, President Biden. So you don't need to hear the full story. You don't need the full story. Allow me to educate and bring you the full story.
They're not listening to the thing he got to say. But that's their problem. That is what they did. This is the baby. This is the monster that you screwed the legs on and then decided that this is what you were going to share with the world. This particular
Mace kicked off her bid for governor of South Carolina with a town hall in Myrtle Beach. This was last night. And she was met with a friendly audience as she sought to align herself with President Trump's policies, saying she is prepared to be a, quote, super MAGA governor, and says she will be like Trump in high heels, in her words. It's still not clear if she has won the president's endorsement, though. CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small joins us now with all this. Torian, great to see you. Mace is, as you know, joining a very crowded candidate pool.
Let's see.
For this crowded race, as you mentioned, about 5 notable.
So she kicked off her campaign. Let's see.
Staunch defender of the president's personality over allegations, like she brought up ABC anchor George Stephanopoulos.
That's the problem. You all only know gaslighting. Republicans only know gaslighting because they got an electorate whose IQ is not above 70. So when your IQ is not above 70 and that's your electorate, then they believe everything you say. We don't believe everything people say. And most of our tent is nuanced. Okay, there's nothing nuanced about the MAGAs. There's nothing nuanced. You believe everything you hear. This is the last one that I got. No, this is not the last one. This is the one thing we have been waiting for. We have been waiting for this. People have been waiting days for this. Let's look at it. If the Republicans, Senate Republicans, and the regular House Republicans, if they follow Donald Trump down this rabbit hole, if they follow him down this rabbit hole, the Senate Republicans and the House Republicans are going to lose bad. If they follow him down this rabbit hole, they're going to lose bad. That's the problem. So what we're waiting for right now is the young lady to be sworn in. And everybody's been waiting to get sworn in. She's being sworn in right now. Adelita Grivaldi. She's the lady that she's the lady they have been waiting for to sign in. Okay? Because she was the final 218th signature on the release of the Epstein files. That's what she is. Okay? She's the one. This lady who's getting sworn in right now. Mike Johnson has been trying to hide from this lady since the beginning of her winning the election. If the Republican Senate and the Republican Democrats, Republican House follow Donald Trump down this rabbit hole, they're going to lose badly in the midterms. And we might take the Senate and we might take the House. All of it is in play now because if you stand behind a pedophile, you're going to go lose your seat. This young lady right here has been waiting 40 plus days to be sworn in. He should have sworn her in within a week, but he tried to hold it off because he knew she was going to sign the Epstein files petition. And the minute she did this, she went right into the other room and signed the other petition. Oh, everybody cares, Fred. I'm sorry. You might not care, but everybody else cares.
I like this.
Okay, there you go.
Perfect. Yeah, okay, sir.
Okay, so we'll do this. We're going to raise your right
Oh,
hand.
just a little bit. Thank you.
Okay, so we pose.
For posing.
Okay.
Handshake.
Handshake.
Thank you.
We'll leave the camera to it.
Wow, that's a big one.
Why did it take so long to get sworn?
Thank you guys. That would be another, that would not be my question.
This is look, I really like this lady. She's going to be an excellent member of Congress. She's a great person. I just told her on the way in that she fills her father's shoes, or she's going to try.
We winning right now, Brian. We starting to win. We starting to come around the corner. Here's the thing. The Democrats don't have a solid message. They don't have a solid leader. Once they have a solid message and they have a solid leader, the Republicans are going to look crazier, even crazier, because they're putting themselves in a position to go down a rabbit hole with a pedophile. Who voluntarily does that? Nobody voluntarily does that except you Republicans, because you all follow each other, because you're zombies.
No one can.
No one can.
He was a giant around here, served a long time, served his state very well. I served under him in the Natural Resources Committee.
Yes. I don't know what side you're on, mercenary, but every time I talk to the Republicans or the MAGAs, the first thing they say is we don't like the gays, the trans, the browns, the immigrants, the illegal aliens. We don't like none of it. We hate all of that. Nobody wants to hate stuff anymore. We want to love our country, move our country forward. Stop talking about stuff that it makes you seem hateful. The MAGAs come over here and they do spew hate. I hate the gays. I hate the trans. I don't want nobody in my bathroom. The immigration. Get those people out of my country. X, Y, and Z. That's the problem. Nobody wants to hear those messages anymore. They want to hear positive messages. Okay. Yes, they will find a leader in midterm. It'll be Gavin Newsom, and we will stand behind him like we glued his ass.
For a while, and admired the way he did the work. He was tenacious. So she has a proud family legacy, and we're delighted to have her here. She may not agree with
Fred, your people came into my chat and called me a demon. Stop it. Didn't even know me. Stop it. Lisa, I didn't go. You're focusing yourselves on one person. At least with the MAGAs, I focused on all of y'all. Y'all came in here and focused on me and called me a demon.
with me, but we follow the custom of the house on the timetable, and we've had a little, as we say in the Deep South, some intense fellowship about that.
Yes.
Okay, but she's here now, and I promised that we would have her the oath administered before we began legislative business.
Please do not make death threats in the comment section. We have ideological differences. We have political differences. Okay, we have political differences. That's it. Don't come in here and make personal threats. That's not how that works. Nobody is supposed to be making personal threats in this chat. Okay? That's the only person that's going to stand. If we get a different person, we'll stand behind that different person. But for now, Newsom seems to be the person that wants to stand out there in the front.
So she hasn't missed a vote, and we're delighted you're here. So anything I can do to help you, as I do all members, happy to get you acclimated and do everything. But you know more than most because your dad was here for a long time.
The beauty of Democrats is, we think of the good. We think of the collective good. We don't think of just doing things for the right or doing things for the left like this president does, or doing things for ourselves. Gavin Newsom may not like him for the state of California, but he may be good for the country overall. We don't know. But we do know that Donald Trump and the Republicans are not doing any good for the regular American people. We do know that.
I visited.
Yes.
I never did this job. So this is brand spanking new. So
Right.
I will take the offer of help.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I gave it during this. Thank you.
No, we didn't. It was those are right-leaning guys. Stop it. Right-leaning individuals. Oh, here we go. So this is the
Okay. 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 I'm Congressman Adriano Espaillat, chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Today, nearly 1 million Arizonians finally regain their voice that has been illegally denied to them for far too long. 2 months of delay was not just unprecedented. It was unacceptable. I think it was illegal. The Constitution guarantees representation, and all of us in the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, including now Adelita Grijalva, will defend that. We will defend that. Adelita Grijalva swearing in 50 days after she won an election strengthens our fight for the environment, for environmental justice, for Latinos across America as they face an assault like no one has ever seen before. It strengthens working class families, affordable health care, and of course, it will bring transparency on the Epstein files. Every vote counts in America. Cada voto cuenta. Republican excuses have run dry. It's time to bring a vote on the Epstein files to the floor and stop hiding the truth to the American people. That's all they want, the truth. The American people deserve the truth. With this vote, we are closer and even will hold those in power accountable that are hiding from the American people. The era of obstructionism and secrecy ends today. And it ends with a name, Adelita Grijalva. And we will not rest until justice prevails. With that, I want to quiero presentar the Democratic Caucus Chair, Pete Aguilar.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Espaillat. It's an honor to be with my Congressional Hispanic colleagues, as well as members of the Democratic Caucus, and to welcome Adelita Grijalva to our
I asked a question, or I heard somebody have a question the other day. Why is it that you black people keep going to the Democratic Party, the Democratic plantation? Why do you Hispanic people keep going to the Democratic plantation? It's because we have representation over in the Democratic Party. We have leaders over in the Democratic Party. We don't have those kind of leaders over in the Republican Party. The Republican Party is about rich people and tax cuts. It's never about helping the unfortunate. It's never about helping the poor. It's never about helping people who need it besides everything else. That's the whole point. You all think of it as a plantation. Unfortunately, you're hoodwinked. Not one. And I keep asking this, and I'm sorry. I meant to ask it. Someone please put in the chat, one of you MAGA people, please put in the chat what the big, beautiful bill has done for you. Please don't say anything about a tax cut. Don't say anything about a overtime. Taxes on an overtime only apply if you do itemized deductions on your taxes. It's not money in your pocket like that. It's about doing itemized deductions on your taxes. And most people don't do itemized deductions on their taxes. They take the standard tax. So it doesn't apply to you dingbats who keep saying, we don't get no tax on overtime. That doesn't work for you because you only do regular standard tax deductions in your taxes, not the itemized deductions. So stop it. So that's not something that the big, beautiful bill did for you all. Not all of you all work for taxes or tips. So that doesn't work for most of Americans. So stop it. And the reason why Mexican Americans, Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, everybody finds a home in the Democratic Party because we have representation over there. Right now, the Republican Party made it very plain that they don't want they don't want Hispanic people over there. They made it very plain that they did not want Black people over there. I know what the bill did. The bill did for regular, everyday, ordinary people. Tax on tips, tax on tips, tax on overtime. And I just explained to you, only a portion of the electric gets taxed on tips. Have tips. So that's not for everybody. And then everybody does overtime. And the overtime is only based on the standard. It's only based on itemized deductions on your taxes and not your standard. And most people take the standard deduction. So that don't mean jack shit. Okay. So this is why we over here in the Democratic plantation. You can call it plantation all you want to, but the Democrats have did everything for this country and most immigrants and most Blacks and Latinos. The only thing Republicans have done is pass tax tips, and that means nothing to the most everyday average Americans. Tax tips. If you don't make enough money, it's not enough money to care. Even if you were to save any money on save money on tips or save money on getting a tax cut, the food is rising so high that the tips or the money that you save on the taxes or tips or overtime don't mean jack shit. Okay, we love America just like everybody else. The Republican tent just said that we don't want no Black and Hispanic people in there. That's what y'all done said all this summer. We Black people, y'all don't want no Black people and no Hispanic people in y'all tent. Y'all made that very clear. Republican Party has made that very clear. Okay, made it very clear.
Ranks. Let's be clear. This moment should have happened 2 months ago. But Speaker Johnson and Republican leadership.
Only 18% of us are poor, Cole Olds. Get your facts straight. Stop saying dumb shit. Only 18% of Black people are poor and need help on food stamps if they get it. So that right there is a lie. How many people white that need handouts? 37%. White people depend on government handouts. 18% of Black people. Stop it.
Seem to use their special election to set a new record. The longest time a member of elect has had to wait to be sworn in. There is no justification to deny Arizonans of their representation, and Speaker Johnson literally twisted himself into knots trying to explain it. But we all know the real reason. Donald Trump and Republican leadership are hell-bent on keeping the Epstein files hidden from the American people. As Leader Jeffrey says, they're running a pedophile protection program. Today, the House Oversight Committee obtained more damning emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate that raised serious questions about Donald Trump's involvement in Mr. Epstein's crimes. As recently as today, the White House was trying to switch GOP votes on the petition to continue these cover-up efforts. Now, with Representative Grijalva in Congress, we will have the votes necessary to force transparency and accountability. And importantly, Arizonans will finally have a member who's able to carry out their work to represent their interests and to be their voice in Congress. I'm proud of the work Congresswoman Grijalva has already done for her constituents while being wrongly kept out of Congress. She has gone above and beyond, and I look forward to working with her in the years to come as we lower costs, save healthcare, and improve the lives of the American people. With that, I'd like to now introduce a ranking member of the Small Business Committee, Nydia Velazquez.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar, and Adriano Espaillat, Chair of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. Speaker Johnson has finally sworn in Adelita Grijalva, and the people of Arizona's 7th Congressional District once again have representation in Congress. For 7 weeks.
Beef being high is a perfect storm. You paying for the beef, getting the beef, raising the beef, cattle herd numbers are down. It's a perfect storm for it to be shitty. Beef is gonna be high.
The speaker left the people of Arizona 7th without representation, without access to constituent services, and without a voice here in Washington. It was a cynical, shameful, and unprecedented. And
why is it that people keep saying, "Oh, Trump is so good. He is so good." What do you mean he is so good? And he ended up getting these farmers screwed over. How is it that people can see the best of it right now, but they can't seem to figure out that this is the worst that has happened to some of the American people, is this farming stuff? Why they don't see that?
The left-wing president of Colombia. And man, this guy is a real one. This guy, he showed up to the UN event in New York City, and then he went outside and joined anti-Trump protesters. And he also said, I think he was out there saying like Netanyahu should get arrested, Israel is a criminal state, Donald Trump should be in prison. He was saying shit like that. I don't remember all the specific things he said, but he was saying stuff in that vein, right? He was screaming through a megaphone, all that stuff. He was with the protesters. And then Trump and Rubio decided fucking revoke his visa and kick him out of the country. So they did that, but here's the thing. That was illegal. That's illegal. You're not allowed to do that. They have diplomatic immunity. You're not supposed to be able to go after them for their political speech. That's what it was. It was political speech. So that was a big deal. And then as Trump was blowing up all these boats, is still blowing up all these boats off the coast of Venezuela in the Caribbean, Gustavo Petro came out and let everybody know, hey, one of those ships that you bombed was a Colombian ship, and it was a fucking fisherman who was on it. And now you're murdering innocent people. So now he's taking the gloves off, and he is fucking leading the charge against Trump. And it is an amazing thing to see. He's got balls, man. He's got balls. Because we learned that not only are they planning on doing regime change in Venezuela, but the plans that were drawn up included bombing places in Venezuela and bombing places in Mexico and Colombia. So they are directly threatened right now, and he's still out there spitting fire and telling the truth. So look at this. Colombian President Gustavo Petro, quote, "A clan of pedophiles wants to destroy our democracy, to keep the Epstein list from coming out. They send warships to kill fishermen and threaten our neighbor with invasion for their oil. They want to turn the region into another Libya full of slaves." God damn, y'all. God damn. This dude, he's spitting. He's spitting. All right, so I'm going to play, let's play some of this speech here. I haven't seen this yet, obviously speaking in a different language, but I'll read it for you as we go here. "A clan of pedophiles wants to destroy democracy in Colombia." Facts.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia. Duro, sí.
Harsh, yes, but that's the reality.
Esta la realidad.
And to keep the list from coming out, talk about the Epstein list, they send warships to kill fishermen from this city and threaten the neighbor, talking about dictator and so on. Oh, somebody's holding up a no genocide sign. I think that's, you guys tell me, but I think it's like no genocide sign. Threaten our neighbor, talking about dictator and so on. As if the people of Colombia would applaud an invasion of their brother, which is not the president, but the people of Venezuela. When would we ever be so treacherous and sold out, betraying our own blood, or the people of Ecuador, of Panama, or the people of Venezuela? They are our own people. So they want the president to do what the coward Ivan Duque wanted to do, to lend Colombia's land, so that from there they could invade a brother country that shares the same history as us. Because Bolivar was born there and came to die here in this city. It cannot be. A president of Colombia that would do that would be cursed by future generations. He's saying, if I sell out Venezuela, if I support a war against our brother Venezuela, then I'd be selling out and I'd be cursed for generations. Because you would never be forgotten as a traitor. I do not belong to those who wanted to kill Bolivar. The government of Venezuela has made many criticisms, but I do not mock the people of Venezuela, nor would I set a trap for the people of Venezuela to fall into that trap of an invasion that is only about their oil. He's spitting, bro. He's spitting. That's exactly right. We have literal video of Trump saying it in 2023. They tried to do a coup of Venezuela in his first term, and he said, I would have taken the oil. I would have taken the oil. Now, they're plotting their regime change. What do you think's at the core of it? It's their mineral wealth. It's their oil wealth. He wants to put a puppet government in there to serve U.S. billionaire and corporate interests, and he wants his war criminal buddy, Eric Prince, to occupy a new country because he's no longer occupying the Middle East. That guy's the head of what was formerly Blackwater, which is just a mercenary army that murders innocent people. Into the trap of an invasion that is only about their oil, greed, and violence, driven by greed and violence, to turn this beautiful corner of South America into another Syria, another Iraq, another Libya full of slaves, slave trading and new forms of slavery. Epstein's list, his friends, those who don't want the list to be published in the United States, they want to use us here with violence so that the people of the United States don't think about their own government, but instead get consumed by xenophobia, racism, ideas of racial superiority, and other false beliefs. And they use us to avoid addressing their own problems.
And that's the problem. They love to stir up hate between the people here and the regular, everyday, ordinary American citizens. They want us to be at each other's throat. They don't want us to see what they doing. That's the thing. Here's my girls.
MAGA is in absolute shambles with the drop of the Epstein files, and the parallels between MAGA men and the Nazis are coming in, and science is proving that there is a micro penis link. Stay tuned. This is going to be piping hot tea first, right out of the gates. We have MAGA apologists, and now I guess this is really disturbing that a woman could say this.
Agree.
This is Megyn Kelly. And she is moving the goalposts on what consent is, on what pedophilia is. Play the clip.
For Epstein, I've said this before, but just as a reminder, I do know somebody very, very close to this case who is in a position to know virtually everything. Not everything, but virtually everything. And this person has told me from the start, years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls.
So isn't that pedophile? So if they're 15, is that pedophile? But they got to be 8? Is that what it is? 15 is not a pedophile. No, Carlos. Not Carlos. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't put this on the Democrat. We talking about your pedophile president. Don't do that. Don't come in here bitching about the Democrats. This is about your president.
And I
address your president. Don't address Democrats. Address your president.
Realize this is disgusting. I'm definitely not trying to make an excuse for this. I'm just giving you facts. That he wasn't into like 8-year-olds, but he liked.
That's what they're planning to do. They plan to make a regime change in Venezuela so they can have control over the oil.
The very young teen types that could pass for even younger than they.
You see what I mean, Carl? You see what I mean? No, you see what I mean, Fred? You see how you maggots come in here and call me names? You see how they do that? And then you wonder why I call y'all maggots? This Carl S. is exactly what I'm talking about. Come in the room calling people names.
They were, but would look legal to a passerby. And that is what I believed, and that was what I reliably was told for many years. And it wasn't until we heard from
the right ain't no pedophiles war, baby. Your president is a pedophile. Your president was friends with a pedophile. Address your president. War, baby, what do you have to say about your president? What do you have to say about your president? Carlos, what do y'all have to say about your president?
Pam Bondi that they had tens of thousands of videos of alleged.
We have proof. We're not finna do that. You're not finna gaslight us. You ain't as good as You ain't as good as Donald Trump. Stop trying to gaslight us. You ain't as good as he is.
Forgive me, they used to call it kiddie porn. Now they call it child sexual abuse material on his computer that for the first time I thought, oh,
only to an idiot, Carlos.
Oh, no, he was an actual pedophile. I mean, only a pedophile gets off on young children abuse videos. She's never clarified it. I don't know whether it's true. I have to be honest. I don't really trust Pam Bondi's word on the Epstein matters anymore. Yeah. So,
okay. So let me just tell you, if you know somebody who was in Jeffrey Epstein's inner circle, who is trying to make split hairs about the age gap in certain victims of rape, and then you're repeating that as though that is a credible person, what you're repeating is the mindset of all of the people within this pedophile cult ring. And Trump, who she, defends, and it's a hill she'll die on to support this man, on Howard Stern and other places, he basically doesn't think a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old is off limits.
I have read a bunch of what Jeffrey Epstein reportedly said and how he justified his behavior, and he justified it exactly like this. Well, in certain parts of the world, the age of consent is younger. So having sex with younger girls, it's just an arbitrary construct. This to me falls so flat on its face, and there is zero justification for this. Full stop. But it's unbelievable.
And I just think that there is an effort that women are playing in this regime to use their gender to help justify the objectification and the discussions of the erosion of civil liberties for women. And it's not just this administration. We see institutions that are engaged in this as well.
Same thing. This is what Megyn Kelly is doing. She's trash. Megyn Kelly is trash. She's trying to make a distinction that really ain't a distinction. 8-year-old, 5-year-old, 15-year-old. They're still children. Okay. These files need to be released. Let's just be clear. These are not the files. Y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button. We have this content every day. We have content right now, and we'll have content later on at 10 o'clock. Later on this evening, we'll have more content. But hit the like and the share button, please and thank you. They're trying to come up with ways to justify this. We're not talking about Democrats. Get off the Democrats. Stick on the fact that your president is a pedophile. Stay on that. Stay on that. Stay on the fact that this is your pedophile president. Stay on it. Stay on that. Don't get up off of that. We ain't talking about nothing else but your president. This is all Trump. All Trump, all Epstein. This is your pedophile president. Don't get up off of it. Don't try to pivot, because y'all love to pivot to everything else. Y'all love to pivot. You maggots love to pivot. Instead of standing on your square, that's why I say you Republicans don't stand on nothing. You don't stand on anything. You hate. And then when somebody want to call you on the carpet, you're always turning around saying Obama, Biden, Harris. You're always saying everybody else except your president. Your president. You never do any pushback for your president. You're always caping for your president. You never have any pushback. That's why y'all stand on nothing. Because the minute you run in the room, it's name calling and it's we hate gays, we hate trans. We don't want nobody in the bathroom with us. We don't want no gay people having surgery. We don't want to have no legal immigrants. We don't want no immigrant people here. We don't know no pedophiles here. All this cultural bullshit that never puts the country first. Y'all never stand on nothing. You don't stand on nothing. You have nothing to stand on. When people turn to me and they say, what do you believe in? What did the Democrats believe in? The Democrats believe in helping the poor, the elderly, the handicapped, elderly, handicapped, our veterans, and poor children. That's what we believe in. What do y'all believe in? Oh no, we believe in not letting the gays in our house. Who the fuck cares about gays in our house? Oh, I got this convergence. I got this. They don't bother me. These ain't nothing but maggots. These are zombies. Zombies who have to who are circling the drain. They're circling the drain because they have nothing to stand on. They cannot defend this. They cannot defend this president who is a pedophile. They cannot defend anybody. They cannot defend Republicans standing there and covering for this president. They cannot do that. So therefore, they come in the chat and they only have words of negativity. We hate the gays, the trans, the blacks, the whites, the browns, immigration reform. We hate all that. Hate. They always have hate. They don't have nothing else. That's why they don't stand on nothing. And that's why everybody is looking at them like, y'all don't got shit over there, do y'all? Except tax cuts and tax on overtime. Y'all ain't got shit over there, huh? And then they can't hold their leaders accountable. That's the main point, that they cannot ever hold their leaders accountable. They always over here talking about Biden, Hunter laptop, Kamala ain't got no brain, Biden is the worst president ever, but don't have nothing to say about their president who done got us into 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 wars, who in the Epstein files, who passed a tax cut bill that didn't give the poor people jack shit. He just shitted on the poor people. He just got out of an interview saying Americans is dumb. And that's why he inviting 600,000 or 60,000 or whatever immigrants, Chinese immigrants over here, because Americans are dumb. Man, and they over here caping for a president who don't give a damn about their poor ass. That's the problem. So I'm good over here, Convergence. I got this. I know how to handle these maggots. The maggots are, they zombies, and they circle in the drain. That's what they doing.
All right, moving along. You may remember before he picked Pam Bondi.
He over there trying to start fighting Nigeria over a fake-ass war. He over there supporting the damn genocide that's happening in Palestine. Stop it.
Kanks picked Matt Gaetz. And here's a really disturbing story dropping. Kylie, pop this up. For the first time, the story of the 17-year-old girl who testified that she had sex with Matt Gaetz for money. She was living in and out of a homeless shelter. She was working at McDonald's. She had just finished her junior year in high school, and she wanted extra money to try to save up to pay for braces to fix her teeth. And this is not surprising because even our Senator Booster Box, Mark Wayne Mullins from the state of Oklahoma, had talked about that he thought that Matt Gaetz was, a sexual predator, et cetera. But in the MAGA world, they just continue to make space for this. And because the girl was poor and or homeless, she's immediately dehumanized to MAGA white evangelical Christians. There is an immediate.
That's exactly what they did. And you know why? Matt Gaetz is guilty. Matt Gaetz was in the House of Representatives. Matt Gaetz led the charge to get rid of McCarthy, the House Speaker. House Speaker McCarthy, he led the House right before Mike Johnson. Matt Gaetz led the charge to get rid of McCarthy. Why did he lead the charge? Because McCarthy wouldn't stand up for his pedophile ass. McCarthy said, I'm not covering for you. When the law come from you, I'm not covering for you because you're a PDF file. That's why Matt led the charge to get rid of McCarthy. Okay? And then you hear Tweety birds from these maggots. You hear Tweety birds from the MAGAs because they can't accept reality. We talking about shut your ass up, Carl S. We're not talking about Biden. We're talking about your pedophile. We're talking about your president is a pedophile. Shut your ass up. We're talking about your president is a pedophile. That's what we talking about. We ain't talking about nothing else. Ain't got nothing to do with Biden. Biden ain't never went to jail, never been in prison. Ain't nobody got no emails or nothing on no Biden doing no weird shit like this. We talking about your president. Your president is a pedophile. At worst, he knew about it. He knew everything about it. Okay? He knew everything about it. I understand you got to cope. I understand you got to cope. I understand that you got to cope. And I understand y'all don't want to believe reality. See, this is what it's called, y'all. Gaslighting. The president is A1 at gaslighting. He gaslights the zombies, aka maggots, because the maggots believe everything he says because he gaslights them. And then he wants the rest of us to go along with the gaslighting, and the rest of us go along with the gaslighting because we scared that he gonna fire us, get us fired, use us in a tweet. Have y'all noticed that your president hasn't put anything personal in his true social account since these since these emails broke? Have y'all noticed that? Anybody went over there? I've been monitoring his account. He ain't wrote nothing personal on, and every day, every hour, every day on the hour, he writes something in that true social post. He ain't wrote nothing in the past 20 some hours. Cause ain't jack shit he can say. Ain't jack shit he can say. Cause he knows he's a pedophile. He knows he likes to touch your little girls. And you maggots know it.
Dehumanization about a girl that is poor. And it goes beyond just all of the other groups that they marginalize, specifically as it relates to the MAGA regime. One through line is racism, but also an onslaught of attacks towards people living in poverty.
I think when you look at the Epstein situation also, you look at it as a class issue. Ghislaine Maxwell is quoted as saying, well, they don't matter. They're
What's my TDS meds? Girls over 18. Girls over 18. That's my medicine.
Core. They have absolutely decided that poor people don't have feelings, they don't have families, they don't have desires, they don't have hopes, dreams, they don't want any of the emotional comfort. It is disgusting, and that is something we have to address, because you look at this situation, they tell these girls in these situations, no one will believe you. I'm rich and powerful. You're poor and from an imperfect family. Why?
War baby, you're the one that looks pregnant. I mean, you're the one who looks crazy. You're the one who looks pathetic. You just don't know that you look pathetic. You look pathetic. You're over here caping for rich people and you ain't even rich. Y'all make it make sense. Y'all look at War Baby. Caping for rich people and he ain't even rich. That's wild. Over here caping for rich people that's touching girls. That's wild. That's wild.
Why would anybody believe you? And honestly, when you look at the situation unfolding, that's exactly what's turning out all these years later.
All right. And so I think that some members of the Republican Party are going to start breaking ranks. They are seeing that this frail president, who yesterday was doing some sort of show and tell with his wife, and the makeup and the concealer on the hand was more than we've ever seen before. He was falling asleep standing up, which is new for him. And I didn't think that he could quite do that. So they see that they're strong man, the person, the hill that they have died on. He is frail. He is weak. The curtains are closing not only on him biologically, but the clock is ticking on his second term. So Republicans are breaking rank. Well, what is the one thing that has held this whole cult together from the beginning to now? And it is the evangelical base support. So what does Kanks do yesterday? He starts to Christian signal right in the middle of his defense of a pedophile. And right after, he went to the Supreme Court to fight to make sure that poor children didn't receive food. Play the clip.
Thank you. The Bible tells us that one of the measures of any society is how it cares for vulnerable children and orphans. So important, and it's so big in the Bible. So as we make America great again, we are going to protect American children in foster care. And
okay, yeah, kind of like you protected all of the women at Jeffrey Epstein's house, kind of like you protected all of the children that USAID funds broke out, kind of like you care about all of the Democratic children that happen to have Democratic parents who you say are the enemy from within. And I want to remind you guys, as you hear Megyn Kelly say that, as you hear what Matt Gaetz did, as you hear what Donald Trump has done, these are the people that had a stage 5 meltdown about drag shows. These are the people that have stage 5 meltdowns about books. These are the people that freak out about Bad Bunny appearing in the Super Bowl. Yet they can just casually speak about this Epstein thing and splitting hairs about, you know, an 8-year-old or a 12-year-old versus a 15-year-old. But if it's a 15-year-old that looks like maybe she's 18, then that's okay, et cetera, et cetera. And I just want to say this for the permanent record. The Bill Clinton situation with Monica Lewinsky being 18, she was of legal age, I think that's abhorrent. I think that power dynamic was absolutely horrible. And I think a lot of that set the psychological soil for the American public to be kind of primed for this. None of this is okay. We need to have leaders that have a lot of boxes checked, that fight for everybody. They need to be better people than we are. But oftentimes, especially in the age of Trump, we have these just really broken, toxic leaders. Which brings me to a new email drop in the middle of this Epstein thing. And y'all can make of this what you will. The tweet says, in one of the leaked emails, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, suggests to ask Steve Bannon if Putin has, quote, the photo of Trump blowing Bubba, to which Epstein replied, and I thought I had Thesaurus, which is Yiddish for troubles. Who is Bubba? So Bubba was Bill Clinton's nickname. I don't think Kanks gave Bill Clinton a BJ. But there has been kind of underground reporting, and we've all seen that video where Kanks performs and simulates a blowjob on a microphone with a familiarity that only those who have performed said task would have. And so I just think this is rather interesting. But in any other president,
Whoa, 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 whoa. What the fuck is going on here? I never heard this. What? Guess he was all over the island. We got proof, war baby. Be quiet. You caping for a pedophile. Shut up. Stop caping for the pedophile. I just heard these ladies say that Trump was giving Clinton a BJ. Is that true? What the hell? Wait, what's going on?
See, in any other country, in any other time period, the news, the corporate news should be beating, screaming, ripping the clothes off, Incredible Hulk style. It keeps coming up. Epstein gave all of this information to Vladimir Putin. Now we've got Kanks given a blowjob, and Putin has that. It says it right there. Kanks blew somebody, and Putin has that information.
Whoa.
Putin was in direct contact with Jeffrey Epstein. We all saw Helsinki. We saw where the sitting president of the United States took the side of Russia over American intelligence officers. We saw the Alaska bend over, and
these people interpretation of the files. What is going on?
So we heard from people on site that the administration and the supporting staff of the president, after they had a closed door meeting with Putin, came out and looked like somebody had drained the blood out of their bodies. Multiple sources. So number one, I want to know more details about this blowjob. And number two, did the Biden administration know that Vladimir Putin was talking to Jeffrey Epstein and that Vladimir Putin had even more compromising information on Kanks? And did they decide to sit on that because of polling and focus groups and all of this stuff? There are so many questions that need so many answers in order for our democracy to survive. But this whole thing with Epstein and Putin communicating directly, to me, is not getting the airtime that it needs.
I completely agree. And you look at how Trump has handled Ukraine and Russia. He browbeats Zelensky and he keeps giving Putin ultimatums that he doesn't follow through on. He goes the end around of taxing and sanctioning other countries, but not Putin. You have to ask yourself why. And we thought a PP tape would be bad in Trump 1.0. Here's my thing. We all knew that Putin had something on Trump. Now we realize it was hand-fed to him by Jeffrey Epstein. And that is why Trump is such a pussy. And he says, oh, I thought he liked me. I thought we'd, settled the war. No, he doesn't like you. He fucking owns you.
And furthermore, the American media isn't really covering this. Independent journalists, Democracy Now! Are covering this, and they've always done great work for decades. I've always followed their journalism, but they are also reporting that Israel has the same compromising information on Donald Trump, which then also takes you back to, which is Yiddish. Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, suggests to ask Steve Bannon if Putin has, quote, the photo of Trump blowing Bubba.
The photo of Trump blowing Bubba. The photo of Trump blowing Bubba. Donald Trump was giving somebody a blowjob. That's what is in this email. What does that mean? What does this mean? This is what they're reading. The email. Donald Trump was giving. Let's go back. What did it say? What did the email say? Listen.
Broken, toxic leaders, which brings me to a new email drop in the middle of this Epstein thing. And y'all can make of this what you will. The tweet says, in one of the leaked emails, Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, suggests to ask Steve Bannon if Putin has, quote, the photo of Trump blowing Bubba, to which Epstein replied, and I thought I had thesaurus, which is Yiddish for troubles. Who is Bubba? So Bubba was Bill Clinton's nickname. I don't think Kanks gave Bill Clinton a BJ, but there has been kind of underground reporting, and we've all seen that video where Kanks performs and simulates a blowjob on a microphone with a familiarity that only those who have performed said task would have. And so I just think this is rather interesting. But in any other presidency, in any other country, in any other time period, the news, the corporate news, should be beating, screaming, ripping the clothes off, Incredible Hulk style. It keeps coming up. Epstein gave all of this information to Vladimir Putin. Now we've got Kanks given a blowjob, and Putin has that. It says it right there.
Kanks is Trump.
Kanks blew somebody, and Putin has that information. Putin was in direct contact with Jeffrey Epstein.
Gave somebody a blowjob.
We all saw Helsinki. We saw where a sitting president of the United States took the side of Russia over American intelligence officers. We saw the Alaska bend over. And we heard from people on site that the administration and the supporting staff of the president, after they had a closed door meeting with Putin, came out and looked like somebody had drained the blood out of their bodies. Multiple sources. So number one, I want to know more details about this blowjob. And number two, did the Biden administration know that Vladimir Putin was talking to Jeffrey Epstein and that Vladimir Putin had even more compromising information on Kanks? And did they decide to sit on that because of polling and focus groups and all of this stuff? There are so many questions that need so many answers in order for our democracy to survive. But this whole thing with Epstein and Putin communicating directly, to me, is not getting the airtime that it needs.
I completely agree. And you look at how Trump has handled Ukraine and Russia. He browbeats Zelensky and he keeps giving Putin ultimatums that he doesn't follow through on. He goes the end around of taxing and sanctioning other countries, but not Putin. You have to ask yourself why. And we thought a PP tape would be bad in Trump 1.0. Here's my thing. We all knew that Putin had something on Trump. Now we realize it was hand-fed to him by Jeffrey Epstein. And that is why Trump is such a pussy. And he says, oh, I thought he liked me. I thought we'd, settled the war. No, he doesn't like you. He fucking owns you.
And furthermore, the American media isn't really covering this. Independent journalists, Democracy Now! Are covering this, and they've always done great work for decades. I've always followed their journalism, but they are also reporting that Israel has the same compromising information on Donald Trump, which then also takes you back to a Biden situation. Biden gave Netanyahu a blank check. And Biden obviously knew that AIPAC was donating out the wazoo to get, Trump elected. And both parties are such failures on this issue. Truly, they're truly failures. If a man is running for president and a convicted pedophile was his best friend, a convicted sex trafficker was his best friend.
Best friend.
And this sex trafficker and pedophile had cameras all over his apartment and has all of this insider information and dined post-conviction at the White House with Trump for Thanksgiving. And he's having conversations with Vladimir Putin and Benjamin Netanyahu. And we're just now finding out about this. How are we as citizens supposed to trust either government, Republican or Democratic, to keep us safe? You don't get to say you're all about national security. And then everybody's sitting on this bullshit. It's just wild. All right, let's take a moment.
That's it. So that's the one thing, those ladies, that's the one lady, but this is our last lady right here who's very good. So let's listen.
Asked if the 8 senators, the 7 Democrats and the 1 independent who voted with the Republicans to put forward a continuing resolution to fund the government through January 30th, 2026, with some other things attached to it, if they knew what was going to happen with the Epstein issue, and that this was sort of a very clever backroom deal that they did. Maybe. I have no particular insight into those people. That being said, I have not heard a whisper of that anywhere. So I would say that that the answer to that is probably no. They had articulated reasons for why they did what they did, saying that, they just didn't expect that the president of the United States would illegally try and starve people and kill the economy and destroy the government. And then when he did that, they felt they had to try something different, which you can agree with or you can disagree with. But it does raise a really interesting point in terms of engaging with politics. And that's that if you're like me, there are many things that happen in politics that make your hair catch fire. You're so angry when they happen. But one of the things I have learned to do is to, there are certain things I make a stand on, and, and I'm not going to see how it plays out. The January 6th, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, for example, there are major markers. But usually when somebody is making a procedural decision, it's worth thinking about the position that they're coming from. Like, is there a reason to think that there might be something behind this, that even though I'm not happy about what they've done, that they did for a reason that is a decent reason? And the reason I say that is because one of the things that we all know from our lives is that you don't know how something is going to play out. You just don't. And a lot of the people who take a stand on a certain day over something discover 2 months later they look ridiculous, because in fact the way things played out turned out to be much better than they expected, or much worse. So if we take anything from that night, Sunday night, when we all seem to be blindsided by the sudden change in the position of certain independents and Democrats, it's that it's worth taking a breath because we just don't know how that's going to transpire. And I saw so many people saying, this is what's going to happen, and this is what's going to happen. And that, at least as a historian, I don't ever make the mistake of doing, because one of the things you know when you study history is you just do not know how things are going to play out, because you just, somebody could make some brilliant gesture or whatever and step out of the front door and get hit by a bus. You just do not know how things are going to play out. So I don't think they knew that that was going to happen, but I could be wrong. It seems like it has added momentum to the idea that what they did was a good thing, but I'm not sure I would read retroactive credit to that. I think you can take what they did in terms of the way they talked about it and what it accomplished for people who were out of work, for people who didn't have coverage under SNAP, which, by the way, has now been extended at least through September of 2026. I haven't been able to figure out when the last date is on that, and I was too busy today to check. And it's managed to take the federal employees off the table when they have to start negotiating again in January. So it actually did accomplish many things like that. It did not extend the premium tax credits for the Affordable Care Act. All of the Democrats are continuing to push that legislation that the Republicans passed in July. Ended that at the end of December. That's the way they wrote the laws. That's the Democrats were protesting that, but that's the way they didn't add that to the bill. That's just the way our legislation was written in July by the Republicans without any Democratic votes. All right, so if that's what's going on, what happened yesterday?
Well, why did it keep saying? Why did it keep saying you Democrats wrote the bill? You Democrats voted for it to end in December. No, they didn't. It was the Republicans.
Because after the Senate passed that measure, and
y'all make sure y'all hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please and thank you. I need you to hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please and thank you.
It was very important that the measure that the Senate passed was not the same as the measure the House passed. Because what House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican of Louisiana, was trying to do is he was trying to force the Senate to pass the version that he had rammed through the House without Democratic votes, because it's what Trump wanted. He was trying to force the Senate to do that, and Trump kept going to the senators and saying, "Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it." Even if the Democrats won't go along with it, all you have to do is get rid of the filibuster, and there is a system for getting rid of the filibuster. You got to get rid of the filibuster, and as soon as you've gotten rid of the filibuster, we can basically make me a dictator. We'll get rid of early voting. We'll put up a major ID that knocks out Democrats. And he literally said the Democrats will never win again. And the senators didn't do that, which was interesting, because they have tended simply to try and keep their heads down, either to go along with what Trump wants or to keep their heads down and hope that somebody else is going to take care of things further down the line. They didn't do that. They passed their own version. And that was important, both because it said to Trump, we're not going to do what you want, but also because the way legislation works is, if the House and the Senate pass different versions of a bill, you can't just say, okay, they both passed a version of it, we'll put it together. You have to have both houses pass the same version. So that meant that the House had to come back into active session. I mean, it was in pro forma session, meaning technically it was sort of in session because they would gavel in and gavel out every 3 days, but they weren't doing any work. They had to start doing work. And that was going to force Johnson to call the House back into session. And once he had called the House back into session, he was going to have to swear Arizona Representative Adelita Grijalva into office. She was elected on September 23rd, and he simply, blew out the clock and said, well, I can't swear her in because we're not in session, which is ridiculous. That's, plenty of people have been sworn in during pro forma sessions and so on. But when she was sworn in, she provided the final vote for the discharge petition that will require the House to vote on a measure, on a piece of legislation, a law, to require the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. And so that was what was going on with that. And he scheduled the swearing in of Grijalva for 4:00 on Wednesday. So yesterday was a really interesting day. And I joked to somebody that it's my fault all that happened, because I am extraordinarily frustrated that there is a book burning a hole in my belly, and I can't find the time to write it. So I got up the crack of dawn yesterday. Before noon, I had knocked off letters of recommendation. I'd finished reading a dissertation for someone. I'd had a bunch of meetings. I'd gotten everything done. And I'm like, 1:00, that's it. Just going to work on the manuscript from now until I have to start writing the letter. This is it. This is my day. Here goes the manuscript. And then I opened the news, and it was just every few minutes there was something else dropping. And I was like, there you go. It's all my fault. What happened yesterday was that as soon as the House came back into session, the Democrats on the Oversight Committee, remember, the Democrats are in a minority in both the House and the Senate. They're a minority, but they released 3 emails. And those emails were the ones in which Jeffrey Epstein said that Trump knew what was happening with the girls, that he had spent hours, I think it was plural, with a victim at Epstein's house. And I'm afraid I don't remember off the top of my head what the third one was. They were all jaw-dropping, simply jaw-dropping, career-ending for any other politician. And on the heels of that, the Republicans on the Oversight Committee, and in fairness, the chair of the Oversight Committee is James Comer, who is a Republican from Kentucky, and seemingly not the brightest crayon in the box, let's put it that way. He keeps sort of tripping over his own feet. And if you're ever looking, well, you probably won't be. This is sort of political historian humor. The fight that he got into with a representative from Florida, calling the Florida guy a Smurf, who then proceeded to dress like a Smurf in sort of bright blue for several days and totally make fun of him, was kind of a highlight of the last Congress as far as I was concerned. Comer's the chair of Oversight, and he's the one who tried to discover that former President Joe Biden had taken bribes from China, I think it was. I mean, there was never anything there at all. Turned out their star witness had made it all up. He ended up pleading guilty of lying to the FBI. And by the way, Trump just pardoned him. I think it was last week. But so Comer was in charge of this, and he produced a statement saying this is the Democrats cherry picking, and this is all political. And then, the obvious answer to that is, well, if they're cherry picking, release everything. What he then did is he released about 20,000 documents out of a cache of about 23,000 documents. And that's what everybody was watching in the afternoon, is going through those and finding what was in them. And what was in them was hardly exonerating for Trump. And it also pulled a whole bunch of other people into Epstein's sphere. And I'm not sure I'm going to bother to detail everything that was in them, the people that were involved, the fact it appeared that Epstein gave information to a New York Times reporter in 2015, but of course the New York Times did not publish that before the 2016 election. There's a whole bunch of stuff in there, and people are still mining it today. Now, did you hear those numbers I said? The Democrats released 3, the Republicans released 20,000, and there was a cache of 23,000. Now, here's something really important, that the documents that came out yesterday are not the documents that the House of Representatives is talking about. Those that came out yesterday are from a group of documents that the Democrats on the House Oversight Committee forced Comer and crew to subpoena from the Epstein estate. So that's one cache of documents. That's not, and there's still some obviously that we haven't seen, because there were at least 23,000 that went over, and it appears right now about 20,000 have been released. But what the House is talking about is the cache of information about Epstein that the FBI gathered as part of its investigation into his activities. So there's two totally separate things here. And if anybody's interested, I wrote about this when it happened. And one of the things we're working on is getting an index of the old letters so it's easy for people to find this stuff. But when the FBI raided Epstein's New York City mansion, they walked out with armfuls of videotapes and so on. So there's a lot of stuff out there. And I did write about that at the time, long before we had any idea what was going to come of all that. Anyway, so while the House yesterday was waiting for Grijalva to be sworn in at 4:00, and while these really eye-popping documents were circulating on social media, and they're available, by the way, they're not secret. Google them, and there's the House Democrats released the three emails, and then which are very short. And then the other documents are, I think they're in bunches of 4, and you can feel free. So it's a lot of documents. Anyway, so while that was going on and people were sort of going at that, Trump was putting enormous pressure on the 4 Republicans who had signed the discharge petition in order to get them to change their votes. And the people that he really focused on were Nancy Mace, who is a Republican of South Carolina, whom they said they were playing phone tag, or that's my definition of it. She clearly was not jumping to answer her phone when he called. But what was really interesting is he called Lauren Boebert, a Republican of Colorado, into the Situation Room, along with Attorney General Pam Bondi, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, and the Director of the FBI, Kash Patel, to try and get her to change her vote. Now, I actually ended up looking up the sit room last night to see, because I knew it was a special room, but I didn't know why. I mean, aside from the obvious. And it is equipped in such a way that you cannot make recordings in it. I have any idea how they do that, but that's the thing that really jumped out to me, that they all decided to meet in the sit room, which, all right, you can take that wherever you want. It didn't work. It didn't work. And when Grijalva was sworn in, she immediately signed the petition, and that petition is now beginning its journey through the system to an end. And let me just answer another one of your questions before I explain how that works. Somebody said, why didn't the Biden people release all these documents? This is what you keep hearing from the radical right. Well, if there's anything in them, why didn't Biden release them? First of all, we know there's stuff in them because we have seen it now. But second of all, if Trump was that desperate to make sure the FBI investigation files don't come out, and what did come out was that bad, what the hell's in those files? I mean, that, you know me, I always watch the space around the elephant. And, if he were sitting there going, yeah, whatever, I don't care. I'm they caught me eating a peanut butter sandwich with a 17-year-old. I'm cool with that. Then you would be like, there's probably nothing in them. But if he's putting Lauren Boebert in the sit room with the Deputy Attorney General, the Attorney General, and the Director of the FBI, well, what's out there is Jeffrey Epstein saying, he knew what was going on, and he spent time with one of the victims for hours in my house, and he's worried about something else. I'm like, oh wow, that stuff must be incendiary, just incendiary. So why didn't Biden's Department of Justice let it go? And there's 2 answers to that. One is that, remember that Ghislaine Maxwell, until very recently, had an ongoing legal case. That was an ongoing investigation, an ongoing case. And the FBI does not touch those things. They don't make those things public. So that was one thing. But the other thing was that the Biden administration and President Joe Biden himself prided themselves on not using the Department of Justice against his political opponents, because Trump had done that. So he was trying to say, I'm not going to do that. That's why you want to elect people like me, is because we're honest and we won't do that. And there's a new book, I think it's out. it must be because I don't have galleys. I have the actual copy in which they basically make the argument that they were too determined not to look political, because what they did is they gave tons of space for the Trump juggernaut to undermine their work by going in front of the cameras and saying, this is all weaponized, and, so on and so forth, and by slowing it down and so on. But they went out of their way not to weaponize the material that they had. So between those two things, it simply didn't come to light. So now what happens when the petition has been signed? First of all, it has to, I hate this word, it has to ripen for 7 legislative days. I don't know, some kind of plum, right? And then the House Speaker has 2 days, 2 legislative days to hold a vote on it. If it passes, which it is expected to, and I'll tell you more about that in a second, then it will go to the Senate. And the Senate will have to vote on it as well. It will need a majority of 60 because of the way the filibuster is being misused right now. And if the Senate passes it, then it goes to the president. And the president can either sign it or can veto it. If the president vetoes it, it can go back to the House and the Senate, who can override his veto, which happened once during his first term over an appropriations bill. Interesting appropriations bill, by the way. That I won't go into right now. But so everybody had a ton of questions about what's Trump going to do? Is it going to pass? Can it be stopped and all that? And before you go down that road, although I will answer those questions, tell me what it looks like from now on. That is, the American people are now seeing information from a convicted sex offender saying, yeah, Trump was in on it. Trump knew about it. He spent time with a victim. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. What does it look like to make that go away for 341 million people? And that's sort of the way I do politics. Like, certain things blow over for sure. I don't see this blowing over no matter what happens. And that actually matters when you think about how Republicans are going to handle this, because it is rumored, and it hasn't happened yet, but it is rumored that Republicans in the House are expected to vote really quite heavily in favor of releasing those files, for the simple reason that their constituents, especially the MAGA Republican constituents, elected the Republicans with the promise of releasing the Epstein files. And now what lawmakers don't want is to get caught in a cover-up, because first of all, many people will interpret that as meaning, hey, you're probably in them, whether or not they are, but also because that's simply going to destroy them politically. So if it goes through the House and it goes to the Senate, what's the Senate going to do? And there's a lot of factors that go into what the Senate might do. If they go after Trump, and if it turns out that these files really are as explosive as it sounds like there are, and there are rumors showing up in Politico, among other places, that the Republicans are very worried about what are in those files, because people from the Department of Justice and the FBI have been warning them that they're bad. Still just rumors, who knows? If they decide not to go forward with those files, the Senate does, and it turns out that more comes out and they are as explosive as it seems they might be, what just happened to your political career? By the same token, though, you may not want to hurt Trump that badly if you're a Republican in the Senate, because you don't want J.D. Vance to take over, because you might want to be president in 2028 and an incumbent has an advantage. So think about those things and think about which way you would leap. Now, one of the things that would determine how you would leap is how powerful is the president? How popular is he? I mean, is this going to blow over because people love him so much, the way, for example, the impeachment of Bill Clinton blew over because his popularity actually went up during the impeachment hearings, to the point that the Senate basically just wanted it to go away, and they had a vote behind closed doors really quickly and said, never mind, oopsie poopsie, forget we did this? Or is he so unpopular that you're hitching your wagon to a falling star, and not in a good way, to a sinking star? Well, right now, Trump's popularity is the national average of the polls. The last I checked was at 41%, which means that's the good polls and the bad polls put together. That's extraordinarily low. Other polls have had him as low as 33%, which is really low. And there doesn't seem to be any sign that that's going to get better. So the economy is not doing well, and people are very angry about it. I did just pull the numbers this morning, and I'm afraid I don't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 65% of Americans are worried about prices. That's another high number. Similarly, Trump is facing a real problem now with his tariffs, because the Supreme Court on November 5th held this hearing about whether or not they are unconstitutional. And they, of course, are the centerpiece of Trump's economic vision. And they certainly sounded as if they were going to say that his tariffs were unconstitutional. And he has been melting down. On Monday, he posted a couple of times at least about how finding these tariffs unconstitutional would create a national security crisis. Well, it wasn't a national security crisis not to have those tariffs 10 months ago. I mean, if it's a national security crisis, he created it. That's not going to help his standing. Americans don't like the tariffs. They don't think they're helping. They're seeing their prices go up, and they're watching job hiring go down and economic growth slowing dramatically. So he's got that hanging out there. And then there is the issue of these immigration sweeps that White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller is trying to ratchet up to 3,000 people a day. That's more than triple where they are now. And what that is meaning, of course, is that the administration is grabbing anybody they possibly can, including U.S. citizens. And the stories of how they are treating those people are coming out, despite the fact that the administration has worked very hard to limit access to detention centers, for example. And the stories that are coming out are so bad that two of the human rights organizations said that the U.S. had sent the Venezuelan undocumented immigrants that they sent to El Salvador earlier in the spring, that they were subjected to systemic torture. Americans don't like people to be subjected to systemic torture. And that doesn't look like it's going to get better in a hurry. And of course, this whole idea of sending the military into all these cities in order to sweep up more and more people is creating a dramatic backlash against Americans who are like, what are you doing sending the military into American cities? That's never, ever, ever a popular thing to do. I mean, think of any time a military, and let's just stay on this in the United States of America. When the military has gone in to break a strike in 1877, for example, or when the British military went into New York City during the American Revolution, or when the U.S. military went into the city of Atlanta during the Civil War, those things always infuriate the people who live there. And right now that's going on as well. So you're looking at all that stuff and you're thinking, okay, well, you know what? But at least Trump is culturally doing things that people really like, right? He tore down the East Wing of the White House. That is wildly unpopular. People are furious about that. He just got booed at a football game. I mean, which are supposed to be his people, right? So I'm looking at all of these pieces put together and saying, okay, so what happens if the Senate gives him a pass? Or if the Senate passes the bill and he vetoes it, and let's say the Congress overrides his veto, and then he just says to Pam Bondi at Department of Justice, don't release files. I don't care what anybody says. How do you think that's going to go over? I don't know how this is going to play out, but I do know that a lot of people have seen those files. And you ask me every day, where are they stored? Who has them? Could they have all been destroyed? Maybe all those things could have happened. But how many people do you think have seen them at this point? And not just in the United States, right? I mean, if it is true that Epstein funneled more than $1 billion through major banks, and a lot of that money was Russian, there's a paper trail. And that paper trail is not in the US exclusively. So I look at all that and I think, people say, is he just going to walk away from this? And I'm like, this is the first issue that split him from his base. He is extraordinarily unpopular and getting more unpopular. He is extraordinarily erratic. Here's a newsflash. You don't tear down the East Wing of the White House on a whim unless some screw is really loose. And that's another piece of this. He keeps falling asleep in meetings. He is badly incoherent when he speaks. Sometimes he pulls it off, but he's not holding stuff together very well. And he's got 3 years left in his term. I don't see this ending in a way that leaves him in greater control than he has had in the past. That is, Eric Swalwell yesterday said, this is the beginning of the end. I'm not sure it's the beginning of the end. I think the end and the beginning have been going together for a while. That's kind of the way the world turns. But I don't think it looks terribly good. And there are, I didn't mention, because I can't actually see my notes here, although I ought to. Somebody asked, what about the apparent buildup to an attack on Venezuela? What about that? There is an attack in the administration on these boats that allegedly are delivering drugs to the United States, although Venezuela is not a purveyor of fentanyl into the U.S. The fentanyl tends to come from Mexico after precursor chemicals go from China to Mexico, not Venezuela. Venezuela, to the degree it produces drugs, tends to produce drugs like cocaine. And those speedboats are a long way from the U.S. So, part of what is going on with those attacks is Trump simply flexing the muscle of the United States, but also possibly trying to rework world spheres of influence. So the U.S. has much greater control over the governments in Latin America. And, there are rumors, not rumors necessarily, they've been reported by CBS, and I'm going to stick with CBS because more than that. I just read 3 articles a minute ago. I don't remember. That they're talking there, that various members of the administration and the military have given Donald Trump plans for attacking Venezuela. How do you think that's going to go? And do you think that will help him retain support in the United States? And all I can say is, to put all this together is, like I started, I was saying, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at all. But if you look at the trend lines around us, they are not appearing to trend toward a terrifically successful authoritarian president taking over. They are trending toward the American people being incensed at this administration. And when that happens, they will continue to put pressure on their elected officials and on incoming voices to take a stand in many ways against not only this administration, but what really jumps out to me about the Epstein files and so much of what else is going on in the country right now is the fact that people are finally waking up to the fact this system has been rigged since the 1980s. And they are pushing back against that. And that's really important, because what it does is it creates coalitions that break down political partisanship. That is, many of the people who voted MAGA did so, at least in 2016, because they thought the system was rigged for the very wealthy. And now, in fact, they're increasingly clear that it is, but a number of people who are not MAGA are saying the exact same things, and that will filter into new kinds of coalitions going forward. And one of the things that really jumps out if you read the Epstein files, more than anything, I mean, not more than anything else, the sexual assault of children is first and foremost. But the sheer entitlement of a group of overwhelmingly, but not exclusively, white men to be able to behave however they wish and to run the tables however they wish is the thing that is going to make these documents a symbol of this era in American history. Because it just, they're just the way they talk to each other about what they can do and the way that they should dominate people, all of them, not just Epstein and whoever else, you might associate with that, but sort of generally, we just get to do this. And Americans are waking up to that. And that's what the Epstein files really bring out, is the perversion of our democracy to create a world in which a few very wealthy men can do whatever the hell they wish. And so I'm looking at all these pieces going together. And what really jumps out to me is that things feel, which is useless. That and $7 now will get you a cup of coffee. They feel different. They feel like the American people have had enough. And it's not done yet by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to be the next 2 weeks are going to be truly awful as this vote goes through Congress, because Trump is going to be ballistic. But the next several months, as this whole administration both unwinds and tries to regain power, is going to be completely ugly. But we also have in that the seeds of rebuilding, of increasing numbers of elected officials articulating the idea that the system is rigged. Increasing numbers of people saying, what do you mean you are cutting $8 billion out of SNAP for the month of November in order to give $40 billion to Argentina? What is it? What do you mean that you are taking away health care from Americans in order to give tax cuts for billionaires? Those are all the things that we need to have on the table, because we need to solve them going forward. And so this whole week, the Epstein files, the reopening of the government, the fight about the reopening of the government, the complaints from Democrats, but also independents and Republicans who voted in favor of a fairer system on Tuesday, November 5th. All of those things, I think, point to a time of extraordinary change. And I worry a lot less than I think a lot of you do about what the Senate is going to do on the Epstein bill. Because, and what the president is going to do, because I look at that and I think, you tell me how you're going to keep that kind of explosive information that this many people now know about under wraps. And I don't see a way to do it. I sure wouldn't want to be trying to hide that kind of stuff myself. And by the way, that's one thing that you have to do when you think about this material. The same thing a historian does. When you're trying to figure out what happened, and you can think about this in your own life. If you want to figure out what happened, let's say off the top of my head, a cart hits your car in a supermarket parking lot. How do you find out who threw that cart? Well, you sit there and you think, okay, who could have seen it? Who could have been here? A worker could have been here. Somebody using the parking lot could have been here. You start to think of who would have seen it. And then you think, well, where would cameras have been? Would there have been cameras? Who has access to those cameras? What time was it? Was it a time when students were letting out of school? That's how you think about who has access to something. And when I think about the fact the Department of Justice had 1,000 people allegedly going through these files, you had all the drivers who took people places, you had all the waitresses, you had all the the girls themselves who want their stories to be told, and now have a member of Congress, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who says she will expound on those stories on the floor of Congress, where she has the right of protected speech, which they do not have. You think about the fact that other countries are now involved, that the once upon a time, the man formerly known as Prince Andrew is now no longer even a prince. They stripped him of everything. There's an awful lot out there that's going to be really, really hard to cover up. So I'm going to worry a lot less about how that vote goes. And I'm going to focus a lot more on steady, constant pressure on elected officials, on especially Republicans, by the way. Everybody always complains about the Democrats because they're like, you didn't save me. It's the Republicans who are doing it. Never lose sight of who's the actual perpetrator of something. Keeping up that constant pressure, getting involved, learning more, keeping up the pressure going into 2026. That's the story that I think we should take from the Epstein files, because they scream a world of entitled privilege for a very few and give us a symbol to fight back against going forward. And that it just feels different. It just feels different to me now that all this has come out. Anyway, I hope that was useful. I can't actually read your notes because I don't have my my glasses on, nor do I know where they are. So you may never hear from me again.